And good evening and welcome to episode 43 Endless Banter. We're calling this show this week the Random Show. You'll soon find out why we're calling it the Random Show. But this week I am joined by the big man himself, Mr. PH. Good evening, sir. And
Good evening.
Tasha somewhere in there in the background hiding like she does every week. So I hope we're doing all right this week. Paul, before we start, how's your week been? And what you're drinking, what you had for tea and all that. I wanted to wish you a many happy returns for yesterday.
Thank you very much.
I hope you had an amazing birthday. It did look like you had some fun. I did send you a message saying you look really good in Marco Pierre White's chair, looking like a skinny mini. So, how did you enjoy your birthday, and what's it like to be a year older?
Yeah, but no, I had a really nice day. Yes, I had a day off work. Tash took the kids to school. You took the kids to school yesterday.
Took them today as well, love.
I just took them today as well, and I was supposed to be at work. I was fucking knackered. Disco and Billy was here till about 1 o'clock this morning. Then we went into town, went to Marco's, had some lunch, had my car washed.
Had a mooch around Nichols.
Had a mooch around Harvey Nichols. Went and picked Billy up, sat in traffic for an hour and a half getting him. Then Dave come over. Dave was at the shop till 8:30. Then he come over after his shift. It was nice. Had a nice day.
And what were you doing last night? What made you stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning? What was you doing?
Fucking about with my new cars, isn't it?
So, like, obviously, you got the new car, you broke it, then you got a new part, and then you broke it again. What happened?
Oh, no.
All over again.
No, what it was is you've obviously got trim settings on the remote control, so you've got a trim for it to go straight in a straight line. You've got a trim for the backwards and forwards on the remote, and then the other trim sets the physical amount of turn to the steering wheel. So if you've got it on low, they just turn like really, really softly. If you've got it on high, they do like a really wide turn, so you can spin it round and fuck about and whatever. What I didn't, I took it out the first day, and it was crunching. And then when I went over the park, I was only on the park for 2 or 3 minutes. Fucked. Ordered the new part, 50 quid. When that come, Dave fitted it for me, put it on, fucking mint. Went over the park on Sunday. I had my car and the drone, and me and the two girls, and Jack met me there. Jack had his little remote control car there, and I was playing with it for about good. I played for a whole battery, put a brand new battery in there, was playing with it and whatever, and then I turned this trim set, the actual the amount of turn setting, I turned it up, and then within 3 minutes it was fucked again. I was like, what the fuck, man? And what it is, I didn't realise. I just assumed if you turned it up full, it'd just turn the servo up full. What happens is, if you can imagine, you've got a physical amount of mechanical turn until it stops. And what you're supposed to do is, once you've turned it fully to the left or right, is then just slightly turn this back until you just see a little twitch. And then you know that when it's on full lock, the servo's actually stopped. What I was doing was, even when it was on full lock, the servo was still trying to turn it more. So it's just smash the gears to bits twice. So I put that post up, and then Adam Parker, who's got a vape shop in Warsaw, come and say, "I've got one here if you want it. If you want to come and get it." So I went over there, and I ended up buying 4 nitro cars off him. So that was an expensive server. I still had to go and buy my server anyway, because he was going to give me a server off one of these cars, but I just ended up buying all the cars.
You went, fuck it, I'll have the car.
Yeah, mate, he done me a deal on him, to be honest, like a proper good deal on him. So then it's like they all needed bits and pieces doing to them. I had to spend about 60 quid on parts. Boys, so it cost me 100 quid for the parts and the fuel. Dave's just working his way through and they're getting it. But one of them was brand fine new, never been on the road, never been started. And then 3 of them were one of the 3. Then he's 500 quid to buy still now.
Wow.
He needed a cog on it that was a tenner. So it was money well spent. And if I sell them, I'll make more than the money I paid from 100%. I'll make more than what I paid for it.
But fuck that, you got a fleet of fucking cars. We literally could have races. Next time we come down, we're having a race.
No, definitely. I'm thinking we should
Oh,
we should rent a massive unit in town and call it Race and Vape.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Did you come up with that, or did Random Jack come up with that?
Me and Disco were talking about. No, was it me and Jack? Oh no, it was me and Dave. Now, to be fair, what I said to like, obviously Dave's well into the drones.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Dave, if you had a big enough indoor unit, you could set up a sick race course
Yeah, for like the drones and stuff
for
like
the
that.
drones, but you could also use the same platform for floor racing.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. There isn't, because I don't think there is anywhere in the UK that you can really sort of.
Matt, I don't know of anywhere.
No, I don't think there is anywhere. And if there is, it's niche as fucking it. So I would have vape shop and being able to rally some cars around. That would be pretty cool.
It'd be mint. Have a little eating area in there, like a little cafe and that, so you could get food and fucking maybe even rent out cars and stuff as well. So people, and even if they ain't got none, they could just come and rag them around.
I think that's a wicked idea. I think that's a really cool idea. That's actually quite exciting.
Yeah. Keep your eyes out for shady racing.
I like it. I fucking like it.
The only thing is with the drones, I don't know how big an area you'd need to make it.
It's about, I think it's more of the person in it flying the drone, because you can get people that you won't rent a drone out to somebody because you're just going to smash it up in seconds, aren't there? So if you're going to rent like more of a cool thing,
drones that are fairly robust, like obviously like more. And I've got the first drone Tash ever bought me. That was about £400 or £500, but it comes with two bodies. So one of the bodies has got a lot of full protectors around the propellers, and the other one hasn't. So you can have it in two different modes, really. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know whether renting them out's needed or not, but I just thought, actually, if you could go there with your own car, but then you take your pal who ain't got one and he can rent one for 20 quid for an hour or whatever it is, and then he can have an hour with his pal.
Yeah, because obviously it could be like, when you do paintball and you pay for the balls and you pay for the equipment and stuff like that, it could be like very much like that, because you would pay for like the fuel of running the cost of running the car.
Yeah, you buy the car and then you'd buy X amount of fuel. You could buy half a tank of fuel or a full tank of fuel, or you could refill it. And when your time's up, we get the car back. And if it's still got 3/4 of a tank, so shit, that's, you know what I mean? But like, it is what it is, isn't it? You just like pay for what you get, and then
deposits would be fucking high though, wouldn't they? For
anyway, you have to have a decent deposit off them, and if you fucking bend it, you mend it.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Just a thought I was having. I was just thinking, actually, indoor you could have some mint surfaces, because you could have a really smooth surface, you could have an off-road surface, all as part of the same track. But you could have it so if you've only got a fucking low car, you don't have to go onto the off-road bit. You can carry on around the smooth bit, and then you could have like an off-road bit that carries on from the smooth bit, and then you come back onto the smooth bit and back onto an off-road bit, and so you could have like different surfaces within one track that different cars could just stick to a certain track. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just literally something I was thinking.
Because I know there is. There's a place. I think there's a place. It might be in Dudley, I think, and it's like adult scale electric.
Is it?
Yeah, I've seen a few vapors where on it. It's like an adult scale electric, and they've got all these big, like you're talking, the same size as like what you've got in the RC car as a scale electric, and they are fucking rapid. You can't even watch them. It's that fast. Boom, boom.
Like, I bought these 4 car. Like my truck in 6S will do about 65 to 70 mile an hour, which is pretty fucking quick. Then I bought this, I think it's called the Savage HPI 4.6 big block fucking nitro truck. It's 500 quid. They're good for like 70 mile an hour. But on nitro, they're fucking next level off, man. And then he gave me this Hypo 8 Pro that's like, it was his race one. So it's got like carbon fiber chassis and aluminium upgrades. And the bloke, when I went to the shop to buy the spares that because I don't know nothing about it, mate. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even know how an engine works. So I'm like, but I said to Tash the other day, actually, once Dave's got them running, I think I'll go on YouTube and start to learn myself and understand, because I quite like the idea of fucking about and tinkering with them. And for what I paid for the 4 of them, I can literally experiment on one of them. And if I break it, it's not the end of the world, because actually I could sell 2 of these and cover the money I paid, more than cover the money. One of them would probably cover the money of what I paid for all of it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was literally just a thought, just thinking. Actually, I know there's outdoor places where you can go to race remote control cars, but is there somewhere where you can go and like you might have a drone afternoon, so it's set up differently. So you'll have like the flags and the hoops and dark and LED lighting and flying in. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just literally a mad thought, but I'd imagine whatever way you do it, it wouldn't be cheap to set up.
Yeah, someone's saying rally cross track is what I think that's the off-roading one, the rally cross. And Doug Craven said shady racing should be a thing. Sorry, Tash. Everyone's getting in Paul's PMs now. When's it opening? When's it opening?
No.
No, but I was thinking for the drones. I mean, like, when we went to the remote control shop, to be fair, I said to the bloke, they had a mad drone in there, mate. It was like a fucking plane. And it takes off like a drone, and he was flying it around the house like a normal drone, stopping it, hovering it, flew it to the front door, pressed the button on the remote control. The fucking propellers that were facing down turned to the back, and it took off like a fucking plane, man. It was sick.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, I need one of them. And then they got like fucking proper planes, like fucking 5-foot wingspans and that. And they had an ex demo one for 200 quid, and I was like, that's a bargain, that is. But like, where the fuck do you go and fly this shit? Do you know what I mean? Like, I took my plane over the park the weekend before last, and I literally took off, and it was flying round. We were flying it and that, and I was like, Dave, how the fuck do we get this out the sky? It's flying. It's not like the drone. I let go of the controls on the drone. It stops flying and hovers, and I bring it down to the floor of the plane. I turn around for 2 seconds, look back up. It's fucking doing 50 miles an hour. This fucking plane is. It's off. And there's people walking their dogs and kids playing in the park, and I've got a plane up above them. You know what I mean? It's fucking.
Well, there's been some more fucking drone attacks.
Indoor droning, I think, can become a thing because after all this bullshit at Gatwick and Heathrow, although I genuinely believe there's an ulterior motive for it, I don't think it's nothing about drones. I personally some sort of terrorist issues that they're masking and pretending. I don't know. I might be just being one of these. I might just have my tin hat on. I don't know. But I just feel like if you could get a wicked indoor, there's obviously indoor race meets for drones, but maybe once I start looking into it, it's one of them things, isn't it? When you don't know about something, when you start looking to find out, you realise it's already a thing or it's rife or whatever. But I was thinking more with the cars to be able to go there and rent a car for half an hour.
I never heard of anything like that. Never.
Man, and actually, you could get like the inflatable bouncy castle surrounds and that on the inside and the outside of the track. So at worst, they might roll it in, but they're not going to be able to smash the fucking living shit out. Even if you had 2 different tracks, one where you hire the car and it's fairly like impossible to damage the car, and one where you just take your own car on. If you want to fucking fly it into the wall, knock yourself out and smash your car up.
Yeah, because you know when you get like the door drafts, you could have like an inflatable one of them all the way around.
I'm thinking like inflatable all the way around the outside edge, all the way around the inside edge. So when it does crash, it's only just hitting an inflatable wall as opposed to smashing into something hard that's going to fuck it up.
I love it. I love it. Sorry, Tash.
Tash talking to herself in the kitchen.
So how's your week been then? What are you vaping? How's your week been? And what you have for tea?
For tea, I had a Greg's beans and sausage pasty, mate. That's how fucking hard up we are this week. And I'm not even joking. That's what I had for my tea. I'm drinking a can of Diet Coke and I'm vaping some 12 milligram bloodsucker still on the Zelos 2.
What do you think to that drip tip? Because I don't like it at all.
To be honest, I don't like it at all, but the small plastic one that come with it, which is up there on the shelf busting off, I bought my drip tips and I bit it and broke it. And then I had the Bessie Goldsmith drip tip out of my billet box, but it's too wide. So like on this, when you screw up the tank, it actually rises. The drip tip don't move, but the inside of the tank actually there. So when you screw that down, it actually screws down over the drip tip.
Yeah. And that was just too big to go over.
But every time I want to fill up my tank, it was popping my drip tip off. So I've put this one on, but I need to get a shorter drip tip because this one's shocking. But the flavour off it's really nice to vape on. I just don't like the look of it.
That's the thing. It's just aesthetics, isn't it? It works really well. It's just aesthetics. It doesn't. It's
Actually,
not very eye pleasing.
I should send Bessie the original broke one, not me some resin ones, just to sell in the shop. Because even the shape on it, the convex shape on it's nice, isn't it?
Mm. They are little petite things. So how's your week been anyway? But you've obviously been at work. What? Just the Monday?
Yeah. Obviously, I was back last Wednesday. We had some issues with the transport a few months ago, and because I'm the transport manager, because I hold the CPC license for the company, I've got a public inquiry on Monday because we had a prohibition on one of the wagons. It all sounds dead serious, like public inquiry, but because it's transport related, I've got to go in front of the traffic commissioner on Tuesday. No, I mean it is serious, but I mean it's not. I don't think I'll get beheaded or anything like that for it. But they could suspend my operator's license for 6 weeks or 6 months. Or
was this due to somebody else's doing, not yours though?
Nah. Basically, it was the driver got stopped and there was a load sensing valve faulty on the wagon, but it had been MOT'd 7 weeks before we got stopped, and they're serviced every 8 weeks. So I wouldn't know whether a load sensing valve was faulty or fucking not. So it weren't even due for a service until 7 days after we got stopped. But that with the load sensing valve, it can potentially fuck up the brakes because it doesn't really when you've got a heavy load on the wagon, the load sensing valve's designed to put more pressure on the brakes. So if you've got 3.5 ton on the wagon, it stops quicker. So all they do then, the prohibition the wagon, and then they have to call out the mobile mechanics. They go out, fix it on the roadside, then they release the prohibition. And then we had another prohibition for something else within 3 months of that. So because of that, and that's literally the issue. But when the bloke when the traffic commissioner landed at the factory, which they just land out of the blue, I weren't offish with him, but I had to go out, and he was like, "You need to make yourself available for 3 hours." I said, "That ain't happening, mate. I'm out of here. I've got a meeting to go to." So I fucked off, and he was like under the impression that I should be waiting about. And I says, "Any issues you've got, any question you've got, put me in an email to me. I'll answer them. It's not a problem. I've got nothing to hide. It is what it is. All our paperwork, they're all serviced in accordance with what we need to do and whatever." So I basically got to go up in front of the traffic commissioner and say that I had a meeting with the maintenance company and just says, "Look, obviously, is this something that could have been avoided? If it is, what can we do to stop it happening again? And what systems can we put in place back at the factory so the drivers can check to see if these things are working?" And so I've been with the solicitor all day just because we'll have a solicitor there just representing me in court on Tuesday.
No.
So it all sounds very serious, but it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not the same as going to court for raping someone. So
well, that's quite serious.
fucking load sensing valve being fucked. But I've been busy. Monday I was busy. Yesterday I was obviously out. Today I've been busy. I was at a customers meeting this morning. I literally left there, drove to the factory, straight in with the solicitor. She finished about 2:30, and then I went over to the MD's office. We had a meeting there. I left work about 4:30, I think.
Well, I did. This is a question for me. This is not a question for anybody in chat. This is a question for me. A few weeks ago, you put up, well, over the Christmas period, you put up the picture of the zinc bath, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Can you explain it a little bit more? Because I saw somebody asking, I didn't think you answered it because obviously it must have took you fucking forever to write something out, but I didn't understand it. So I want to know a little bit more about it. This is just a random question from me. What does it do? Why did you need to clean it out? And
so basically, you've got a metal bath that holds about 120 tons of molten zinc, and the molten zinc, the steel is chemically cleaned in the acid bath before it goes through the zinc. When it goes into the zinc, there's a chemical reaction that coats it in zinc, which basically stops the steel from going rusty. So that's the basic essence of galvanizing plant. And at 400, we run the bath at 450 degrees, so it's pretty hot. But zinc don't go solid molten until it's at 420 degrees. So it's still in a solid state at 420. It'll go molten at 421, and we run it at 450. The steel that we use to hold the zinc in, because it's called like a zinc kettle, but it's like a 50 mil thick steel bath.
Yeah.
And then it's encased in a furnace setting. Then obviously there's big fucking gas burners bowling around that to heat it up, because that's running 365 days a year. Even when we're not there, that's on non-stop. It's always kept molten. So just by the very nature of galvanizing or having zinc at 450 degrees, you actually start wearing the bath that holds the zinc. Now, it's a different makeup of normal steel. If it was normal steel, you'd probably galvanize your way through that 50 million, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. So it's a special spec of steel that's got very low silicon content, which means it's not very reactive to the zinc. So that'll last anything between 6 and 8 years. So to replace that, just the kettle on its own is 50 grand. So that project we've done over Christmas is probably somewhere between 80, 90,000 pounds worth of maintenance.
Wow.
So then what we do is we built our own mobile furnace about 6 or 7 years ago. And that was when another galvanizing factory went into liquidation. We actually bought the kettle off the liquidators and then converted it into a mobile kettle. You set that up, it's run on propane bottles. And by propane bottles, you've got like the big tall fucking propane bottles. There's 25 of them rinked up in series, pushing the burner like it's a fucking serious burner. And then you literally pump the molten zinc out of the one bath into the next bath to keep it molten. Then we had to take all the enclosure off, take all the setting out, then take all the pot out, put the new pot in, rebuild the setting, put the enclosure on, then pump all the zinc back over to the original space where it was, but with a new galvanizing kettle in there.
Wow. The biggest question is, what would happen if somebody fell in it?
Someone's fell in it, not in ours, touch wood. But one of our competitors, I've been there 24 years, so probably about 20 years ago, maybe a bit less than that, maybe 18 years ago. When I first started, we used to have 3 factories back then. And the original head office factory, which was like the main factory that started in 1893 or something, like, our business is about 125 years old, something like that. They used to just be open vats, and when you put the metal in there to galvanize it, and it's covered in acid, it splashes like fuck all around the place. So they used to have like literally metal screens with just like perspex windows and a little roof, so like the zinc could be firing over the top of them, but they would be on this little like window thing, so they weren't getting burnt. And then because health and safety started getting all anal about people getting 3rd-degree burns during their normal working shift, they decided that you had to put enclosures around the actual pot, and then they've got big hydraulic doors onto the doors open, the work gets transferred in, the doors are shut, and then you dip inside the enclosure. One of our competitors, their maintenance man was on top of the enclosure doing some maintenance work because the cranes will run above that enclosure. So they were up on top of the enclosure doing some maintenance work. One of the other maintenance men had took one of the inspection hatches off the roof of the enclosure. He stepped backwards and fell 7 meters into the molten zinc, completely submerged into the molten zinc, floated to the top because you're obviously more buoyant than metal. The lads in the factory dragged him out, but he died about 8 or 10 hours after. But he didn't. I genuinely thought a human would explode on impact because of the water content in your body. But mate, I can remember when we had the old factory one day, we was in there working, and what happens is with the zinc, look, when steel goes rusty, it obviously goes orange. When zinc goes rusty, because any or oxidizes, a bit like your mud when it starts to patina, the natural oxidization of zinc is it goes a dull grey. So when you see like most lampposts in the street that are dull grey, they're not painted, they're actually galvanized, but over the first 6 months of their life, they'll dull off. And when they've dulled off, basically they've got a layer of oxidization on them, which then protects the steel underneath to stop it going rusty. But when we're galvanizing and it's oxidizing constantly because oxidization is caused from the air.
Yeah.
So you can't stop air from getting onto the surface of the zinc. So we use like literally wooden paddles to skim the surface back. That like creates a really, really shiny silver finish, like molten aluminium. And then as the work's coming up through it, you're constantly trying to move the oxidization away from the work. And the more you do that, the shinier it is. And the pot man had literally just skimmed it all back. You skim it back and clean it to drop the work through it. When you drop the work into the zinc, all the shit burns off it, so you end up with all shit on the top of the surface. While the work's underneath, you skim it back again. Then there's like automatic controls on the crane, so you switch the cranes on, it just comes out the zinc very, very slowly. And then you just get the wooden paddles and skim around it and just keep cleaning the surface the best you can to get the best finish on the job. A squirrel come into the factory, run at the pot, jumped on the side of the pot. The pot man had just skimmed it so it looks like a mirror finish. And it fucking run in the factory, jumped on and run 6 meters along the surface of the molten zinc. jumped off the other side, but obviously it must, you know that advert where he goes hot, 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 hot. He fucking literally run across the surface of the molten zinc, jumped out at the other end, like jumped off the other end, and he squirreled it in the middle of the day. This was straight into one of the acid baths and died in the acid bath. And I was like, oh, man, he's just done that 6 meters of molten zinc without burning himself to death and jumped straight into the acid bath and just drowned in the bath.
Oh, bless it.
In acid as well. So I was like, you unlucky cunt, man. Today weren't your day.
Was it a red squirrel or a grey one?
I don't like squid. They're all horrible cunts, whatever. They're just like,
grey ones are fucking vermin. It's the red ones we need to keep. Let's fingers crossed. It's red ones, the grey ones eat the red ones, and the red ones are the naturals. I think the grey ones are vermin. They're like rats, bushy rats, aren't they? Fucking that, yeah, definitely want its fucking day jumping into an acid bath. I bet that would have cleaned up.
I had employees fall in the acid baths back in the day. Like, I mean, this is hydrochloric acid at something like 14% strength. So, actually, like, if you put your hand in the acid bath, the only time it hurts is like if you bite your nails and you've got tiny little cuts, or whatever. It'll sting like a motherfucker. But it does if you eat a piece of lemon and you've got little cuts on your hand. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
actually, look, some of the hardcore Asians that have worked there for 40 years, at the end of the shift, they dip their hands in the acid bath to get all the shit off and then go in the toilets and wash their hands.
No way.
We had a few people falling there, like in the old factory that's shut down now, that all the acid baths were floor level. And then they had like safety rails around the outside of them. But sometimes people would be walking backwards, carrying spam, fucking splash straight in the cunt.
Would be nice when you bum would.
No. No, we used to have there's emergency showers in there now, but we used to have like about 5 or 6 emergency showers all around the pickling area back in the day. And then you just drag them out, fucking throw them under the emergency shower, strip them bullet naked and fucking water them down, get them some fresh overalls and get them back to work.
Fuck it, you think you're having a break after that, get yourself a shower and get back to it.
10 o'clock on a sunny day just to get an emergency shower happening, mate.
Them emergency baths are literally just like buckets of water, right? They pull a chain and they just fucking come down.
Well, we got the big shower heads, about fucking a foot diameter shower heads. You just stand under it, pull the chain, and it's just like a fucking big shower flooding down on you.
Yeah, we used to have them in the hospitals.
Yeah, well, we used to look when new people started back in the day. I used to say to people, "I need a photo for your personnel file. Go and stand against the wall." They'd stand against the wall. Someone would walk past, whip the fucking chain down, and soak the cunt. That was their induction to the factory.
Oh, these days, fuck me, the Meridian Union and all sorts of shit. My first day, I got fucking bathed. No, that was fucking brilliant.
I mean, it's mad. Like when I started at the factory, I started off on the shop floor, just grafting and working away like everyone else. But some of the shit we used to get up to was like next level mad.
You get that a lot with, like, because my old man makes artificial limbs and he's worked in a factory since he was 16, and some of the shit he comes home and said they're fucking done and all stuff they said, and he says it's mayhem in them sort of places. Like,
even on weekends, we go in on a weekend to do some maintenance or whatever. So when I was on the clock card, I'd work fucking all the hours God sent just to earn some extra dough and whatever. But I can remember a lot of people, like all the Asians, they all wear wellies and whatever, because up the pickle end with that, they got like wellies and rubber overalls and that where they're working in the acid. But none of the Asians wear socks with the wellies. So of a weekend, people would shit inside people's wellies and shake it down into the toe end of it. Obviously, they fucking slide the wellies on Monday morning, take the foot back out, mate. It looks like they've had the foot in a curry all weekend. And we'd be like, fucking dirty bastard, fucking motherfucking bastard, right? Fucking mad. I remember when I first started, I went into the shower room for a piss, and we had like a sister company that used to make it was called Cloakroom Limited, Arkinstall Cloakroom Limited, and they used to, like, when you go to swimming baths and you've got the benches and the lockers and that's what they make, they manufacture all that sort of stuff. So when we had the shower room done at the factory, Limited come in and fitted it all out for about 150 grand, fit about 20 odd years ago, but the shower room was massive. And I went in there one day for a piss, And about 4 of the lads had got some Asian bloke. Like all the other Asians had got this other Asian bloke who was like being an obnoxious cunt, held him down, ripped his overalls off, and then painted his cock and his bollocks with black rubberized paint. And I'm like, what? I'd only been there about 4 weeks. I'm having a piss. Like, what the fuck's going on there? And then for the next 2 hours, that geezer's fucking trying to pick rubber paint off his bollocks and not giving himself like some mad funky wax. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Health and safety's gone mad though, right? Like
Right.
you'll know from being obviously on the shop floor to where you are now in the company. You know that health and safety's gone fucking mental. You would never get away with stuff like that these days, would you?
It's you know what though, Tom? I've gone from sort of where health and safety was more about experience. It was more about people having a bit of common sense. It was about people working with each other and watching each other's back. And we had a fatality in the factory back in January the 16th, 2008. That happened, and a chap had an accident and died, and it was fucking changed my life for many reasons. But actually, it was like the worst. It's hard to, I don't know, it just done my head in, man, to think this geezer had come into work and he never got home to his kids and whatever. But like at that point, I'd done my knee bosh in health and safety. I got a diploma in knee bosh, and everything was done properly and still is done properly. But I feel like because it's done so religiously on paper, people just tick boxes now and accept that, yeah, it's safe. Where back in the day, mate, we had sort of safe systems of work and stuff like that. But if someone watched you doing something that was dangerous, they'd pull you off and say, what the fuck are you doing, you mad cunt?
Yeah.
Get down. You don't go up there like that. You do this, you do that, or go and get that fucking barrier and put that up there and do this or do that. Now everyone's a bit like, oh yeah, it must be safe because we've got fucking books and books and books and books and books of paperwork. And I just feel like a lot of the common sense sort of things has been taken out of the equation because people are that obsessed with ticking boxes, crossing T's, dotting I's, making sure that from a health and safety point of view, that if something goes tits up, you've got enough paperwork to mitigate the circumstance.
Yeah.
But back in the day, weren't like that, man. I can't remember any bad accidents back in the day. And yet from when it changed and all this health and safety came in and people having inductions and safe systems of work and safe operating systems and all that, I just feel like people got lax in the way that they carry out their duties.
Yeah,
So
as you say, it's a lacking common sense.
all of that shit in place. I still like the idea of a new person starting and buddying up with someone for fucking 4 weeks, and then I'll sit down with the bloke they're buddied up with, and we'll have a chat about how he's getting on, where's he lacking, what's he good at, what's he not good at, and then train them in the right way. You get people coming now; they've got more certificates than I've got to give them. Yeah. So you leave them to their own devices, but really they ain't got a fucking clue because they've been on the dole for 5 years and the dole paid for them to do all these courses, and actually they've not put any of it into practice in the factory or in the environment or whatever. So it's a difficult one because health and safety definitely saves lives, but actually common sense saves lives. Health and safety is there to stop the morons. But we literally, I'm trying to think what accident we had. We had an accident. Oh, we had an accident where someone fell into the skip because they'd been asked to empty a bin into the skip. Now, instead of him taking the bin out with the forklift truck and then picking it up and throwing it in, he fucking climbed. He raised the forklift truck to the height of the skip, climbed up on the mast of the fork truck, walked down the forks. As he fucking tipped the bin over, he fell into the skip. And the insurance company are like abusing me, like I'm fucking running some slave labour camp. And I was like, mate, I asked him to empty the bin. I didn't ask him to fucking cook and throw himself into the skip. And he was basically saying to me, well, you haven't got a sign up there saying do not climb on the skip. I said, I haven't got a sign up there saying don't sit on top of the fucking Arctic trailer at dinner time and eat your sandwiches. That's what I said to him, and this going back 15 years. So I said, I haven't got a sign up there that says you're not allowed to sit on the roof of the Arctic trailer and eat your sandwiches, which is 25 foot up in the air. But I have to assume that common sense prevails on some things because I haven't got a sign up that says, please walk through the gap that says door, don't walk into the wall.
Yeah, that's true. It's fucking true.
And he says, you've got to assume that everyone you employ is a fucking moron. He says, and I says, but then where do you draw the line on this? If they try and squeeze through the fucking picket fence at the factory and they cut their nose, should I have a sign up saying, please don't squeeze through the fence, only come through the open?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I like, they think you're being obnoxious and you're not. I was just like, mate, seriously, I've never once said to anyone, do us a favour, go out there and jump in the skip and empty the bin for us. Ever.
You know what I mean? Climb up
I'll
forks at
tell you
truck,
what happened
truck
was,
first.
he took the bin to the fucking skip with the forklift truck, pretty much lifted the forks up, drove towards the skip and slammed the brakes on so the bin slid off the forks into the skip. Then he climbed in the skip to drag the bin out and hurt himself doing that. And I said, I've never once asked anyone to empty that bin using a forklift truck. I asked him to empty the bin. And they were
If
like,
it means handballing the fucker in, it means it.
system of work for emptying the bin. So even if I did have a safe system of work for emptying the bin, which I don't, I definitely wouldn't have put on there, don't climb into the skip.
Fucking hell. It's like telling them how to write with a fucking pen to that'll stab you in the eye when you're fucking filling in your jobs.
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
Exactly.
If you've got a handballer bin off into a fucking skip, then you've got to handball it off, fucking get it done. If you fucking think of pushing it in, it's daft. But is it people who sit in office chairs that are writing these rules, not people who actually do the job?
We had a factory inspector come round to the other factory that we had in Albury, which is like sort of closer to my neck of the woods. And we had two factories in the centre of town, in the centre of Birmingham. And to be fair, we were experimenting with heating up the acid, because when the acid's warmed up, and by warm, I'm talking like if the ambient temperature outside is 16 degrees, if we can get the acid to like 19 degrees, just because it's slightly warmer than ambient, it pickles twice as quick. So at a point where we would normally pay £5,000 to dispose of fucking 25 ton of acid, I'm saying to the directors at the time, if we heat that up, we might get another 6 weeks out of it. And if we do that over the year, potentially we could save fucking 60 grand a year. So they says, okay, put the heaters in and trial it on one of the tanks. What happened was the maintenance bloke put these mobile electric heaters into the tank, like basically big elements out of a fucking kettle, but they're designed to do that. They're stainless steel, so the acid don't corrode them and whatever. Set up a thermostat in there to run it at 19 degrees. Over the weekend, the thermostat had failed. So when we got in on the Monday morning, the acid was at about 30 degrees. The place was full of fucking acidic fume, and it wasn't pleasant in there. So we had fucking massive 8-meter roller shutters. So I was like, stop dipping, open the roller shutters, open the bottom roller shutters, let some air get through the place and clear the shit, clear the atmosphere out of the factory. One of the lads in there, who was a fucking cock, phoned the health and safety and says, they're expecting us to work in this environment with this fucking acid fume and rare. So the factory inspector landed down that day, mate. The environment in the factory was shocking, but we weren't even producing when she come in. And I say she because she was blatantly doing a man's job and she got dead confused, right? But she come in and she was like ranting and raving at me and whatever. And I was like, listen, we've blatantly had an error. We've stopped producing. The lads are outside in the yard. Whoever's phoned up and complained isn't even in the factory, because no one's in the factory. We've opened all the doors, and the say by doors, these are big fucking 10-meter wide, 8-meter high fucking roller shutters. I says, we're letting the air come through. We're diluting the fucking pollution in the factory. Within a couple of hours, everyone can go back to work, and that's a lesson we need to take on the chin. We're not producing. It's costing us about fucking whatever it was, £1,000 an hour to not be producing. And she was like, well, I need some air monitoring done. You need to, which we do anyway. We do air sampling every 12 months. So like the blokes have to wear these tubes, and that picks up the fume in the factory, and then we're allowed to hit certain levels before it becomes a problem. So I said, I've already had air sampling done. There's the results. She was like, yeah, but because of this, I want you to do it again. So this probably costs us £5,000 again to have this sampling done.
Fuck.
So I have the air sampling done. It all comes back, and we're at about 50% of the level that the HSE allow us to be at before it becomes a problem. And she come in the factory and she was like, have you been heating the acid again? I says, no, we haven't heated it since that day. Well, the fume out there is too high. And I said, well, there's your results, love. I'm at 50% of what you guys say I can do. Like, there's a fucking book that thick. It's got every chemical in there and when you find your chemical, it tells you what your parts per million can be in the air content. And I says, we've got to check for ammonium chloride, hydrogen chloride. We've checked all of them. They're all way, way, way below. And the worst case scenario was 50% of what we could have. And the lowest was like 25%. And she was saying, well, I still think it's too high. And I says, I don't give a fuck what you think. You've given me a guidance. I followed the guidance. I'm at half of your level that you say is acceptable. If you don't like it, don't go out in my fucking factory. Simple. No, mate, I was not. And look, my MD messaged me. I'll tell you what, it was the day that Ava was born because I woke up in the morning. Tasha was in labour, and she said, and I said, I've got this meeting at 10 o'clock. So obviously, if you need to be at the hospital before that, phone me, and I'll come and get you. But I'll go to work. I'll have this meeting, then I'll come home, and then we'll do whatever we've got to do. I was in the managing director's office. I'm guessing I would have been a director by then. And she was saying, well, I'm not comfortable with the amount of fume out there. I says, it's a good job you don't fucking work for me then. I don't see how that attitude is acceptable. I said, I don't understand how you think your fucking tribe that you're talking is acceptable. You've blatantly given me a guidance. You get that guidance gives definite guidelines of what I can and can't exceed. I'm not exceeding nothing. And the worst case scenario is we're at 50%, so I could double the amount of fume in the air, and I'm still, if I double the amount and take one click off, I'm still under your guidance. And then it'd be twice as bad as what you're saying is not acceptable. And she says, well, I need to look into this. I said, you need to read that big fucking thick book that I fucking spent 2 days reading. That's what you need to do. I said, look up. I said, I don't like the smell of fish and chip shops. I says, but I'm a fat cunt and I like fish and chips, so I have to suffer it. I have to go into the chip shop and I suffer it, but I don't like the smell of fucking frying fat. I says, so I've got a choice to make. I either want my fish and chips or I fucking don't. And if I don't go in there and I can't smell it. Or when I do fancy fish and chips, I've got to suffer it. I said, the same applies to you. If you don't want to go in the factory, you haven't got to. If you do, get over your fucking self. While I was talking, like, me and her were having a blazer, mate, and my MD sent me a text message because, like, back then WhatsApp weren't even really a thing. He sent me a text message saying, calm it down a bit. And I was like, I sent him back, fucker, cheeky cunt. And then, like, we decided that year we were shutting that factory down. It was costing, like, we were losing about a fucking 300-400 grand a year on that factory. It was like stupid money. And we bought it about, I think 2002, we bought that factory off another company. And it lost money from when they first bought it. And we tried various things and whatever. But then she come in and done a mad off-spec visit one day, and she was like, you need to improve the shower rooms and the washing facilities. And I was like, we have already improved them. I says, look, when we bought this place fucking, whatever it was, 10 years ago, they were fucking proper 1940s, mate. It was like there was an old trough in there. There weren't even a fucking trough that you get in them old-fashioned pubs. So you're stood there and people's pisses floating past your feet and that. And I said, we've put all urinals in, we've put 3 cubicles in, we've got in fact, there used to be 4 toilets. We took one of the toilets out and put we tiled it all and put some fucking dodgy shower in there. So it weren't like a perfect shower, but they had the ability to shower in a tiled area with hot and cold water after they shifted the wanted to. And she was like, no, this isn't acceptable. And she made us spend 14 grand refitting the shower room. We finished in the October and we shut the factory down in the December.
Fuck.
And I was like, you are stupid. I swear I was saying, you are fucking stupid. I said, actually, we're shutting this factory because it's leaching money. And all you're going to do is prematurely fuck everyone. It's ridiculous. And she was like, well, if you don't, I says, I ain't even doing it, man. Take us to court. By the time you take me to court, this factory will be fucking shut. And she says, well, we'll put a prohibition on the other factory in Birmingham until it's sorted. And I was like, you're a fucking slag. But I said to her, in one of the arguments, I said to her, this is why you shouldn't be doing this job. You're moaning about the fume because you should be fucking cooking or ironing or something. In a fucking factory where blokes work, you know what I mean? And she was like, excuse me. I was like, fucking rat.
You see, that's the thing, because she'd never had that experience of working in the factory. She's literally reading off that big book you've read. And she's not even getting that fucking right.
Mate, it was just some of them, and yet other people come in. Like when we've had a few accidents in that factory where we've had to call ambulances, and normally because someone's been even like clipped with a forklift truck, and then obviously because of this fucking claim culture, they fucking throw themselves on the floor, and all of a sudden they think they've got 25 vertebrae shattered in their back, and they won't move until you've called an ambulance. But we've had ambulance drivers come in that factory, and for anyone that knows about galvanizing or foundry type work, we spend our maintenance budget is about £1 million a year just to keep the factory. And because of the corrosive nature of the acid that we use to do the galvanizing, it's ironic really. We do a coating that protects steel, but the very nature of the pre-treatment that does that self-destroys the factory. So like you can go in there and some of them cranes are 100 grand each and they look like they've been up for 600 years, but they're fucking 2 years old or 4 years old. You know what I mean? So like you get like we've had ambulance blokes come in there and straight away they just assume you're running some mad Chinese sweatshop because it looks that way because they walk in and it's fuming in there. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. And I know they're like, are these all got permits to work? I'm like, mate, we don't employ illegals. Like, we've got all the paperwork. We're not some mad sweatshop. There's our health and safety fucking policy. There's our health and safety folders. There's your man's safe system of work. There's his fucking job description. Da, 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 da. This is his training record. It's all there. We're not running some sweatshop. You're just used to driving around in an ambulance all day. Welcome to the real world of industry. It is what it fucking is.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't appreciate it until you've been in it. And I've
You know
worked
what was mad
in
though, mate? My uncle worked in that factory from when I was a kid, and he was the maintenance manager there. And actually, his son Darren, who's my cousin, he's the production manager of the plant now. And Darren started there a year before me. So Darren's been there 25 years this year. I've been there 24 years in February. And but when we were kids, and I'm talking when we were like 9, and like Darren's a year older than me. So when I was like 9 or 10, and he was 10, 11. Like if I stopped at Darren's of a weekend and Jeff was working on the Friday, the Saturday or the Sunday, we'd be like, can we come into the factory? Can we come to the factory? And he'd be like, yeah. So we'd go in. 9 times out of 10, he was up in his fucking maintenance workshop sleeping, just getting some mad overtime in. And mate, and we would be downstairs hooking up the electric forklift trucks and racing the fork trucks around the factory at 9 and 10 years old. And then like, just playing with shit that we shouldn't be. I can't even imagine me taking Mia to the factory now at 9 and saying, just go and have a run around the factory and have a play. Like you've got open vats of acid. You've got this kettle with 450 degrees zinc. You've got cranes. You've got fucking low ceilings, high ceilings. You've got fucking trip hazard, slippy, fucking mental. We'd be down there playing like fucking Billy. We'd love it. But I can also remember thinking, my old man would always work for himself from when I can remember. So he used to get in from work clean and tidy, and Jeff used to get in covered in shit because our factory's a dirty hole. It is, even though it's actually quite clean for a galvanising plant. It is what it is. But I can remember thinking, I hope I never have to work in a place like this when I'm older. And then, sort of 24 years on, I'm the operations director there, so it's a bit mad, really. But yeah, it's like literally, mate, we'd be on the forklift trucks, just learning how to drive a forklift truck because we didn't know how to do it.
Opens your eyes to so much shit though, like this day and age that shit is. Do you know what I mean? That stuff is these days. It's just everything's just so you got to be so politically correct. You can't do shit. Can you imagine sending Ava on here and playing on one of trucks? Fuck me. You'd be in jail before you thought about it.
It's fucking madness, mate. It's crazy.
It's just how it's, as I've said, it's literally just people who write these things out and don't actually experience a factory setting or anything like that. It's that people are running these regulations to do with vaping ain't got a fucking clue what a vape is, but they seem to know that everything they're writing is the right way. But they ain't got a clue.
We got like pulled. One of the things that what happens is every year the HSE will have a drive on something. So it might be PPE or it might be fucking white finger. You get white finger vibration from using like mechanical air tools or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or they'll have a drive on pedestrianisation, or traffic pedestrianisation splitting within the factory. And that's something they'll go into factories and actively start saying, well, actually, there's too much fucking fork truck and personal activity. You need to separate them. Look, the way our factory runs, we cannot separate people from forklift trucks because of the nature of the product that we galvanise. And to do it would probably cost us 40% in production. But that 40% in production, if we were to lose that on a daily basis, the business wouldn't be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd end up making 60 people redundant and fucking shutting the factory. And they come in and they're like, well, what you can do is you can do that. And then all the people that are working there can move out of the way. The forklift truck can go in. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that, mate. We can do that for 6 weeks. I'll have to sack every cunt because we'll be bankrupt. And he's like, well, you can't always put the cost of a life over the cost of making money. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you prat.
There's a beeper on my fucking forklift truck. If they need to hear the beep, get out of the way.
We have front beepers that make a different noise to the reversing beepers. And we even have green flashing lights instead of orange because everyone just becomes used to an orange flashing light. So we changed the colour of the flashing light annually, just so it's something different, so people are a bit more observant about it, because they've already proved that by having all these health and safety signs up and all these, that people just become abhorrent to them. They just don't see it because it's there all the time. So actually what they're saying is, like, maybe every 6 to 9 months he's moved the signage around so it's in a different place, because then people will go, oh, that's new, what's that? They'll at least read it and acknowledge it. Some of them ain't got a clue. That says, I've been in some factories, mate, that I sneaked into a factory in Bradford that was one of our competitors, and I went in there as a customer, and we were galvanising for a company in Bradford that I'd taken off this competitor, and I'd been and seen them, and we'd done a sample for them, and I knew we were better at doing it. Look, they were dipping a product that we have dipped for 40 odd years, and I went and seen the company. Like back in the day, we used to galvanise for one customer doing this one product. And when the managing director of their competitor approached our managing director and says, look, we want you to galvanise our stuff as well, our managing director at the time pretty much says, not interested, mate, because the customer that we galvanised for was that big. We actually had no capacity anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like, we don't need your work. We've built a factory purpose for that customer. We don't need any more work in there. Then when the current managing director bought the business about 10 years ago, one of the first things he said was, look, we've got this factory down there that's purpose built for that type of product. How many other customers could we get in that factory? How can we make the factory more productive to actually attract more work in, to increase the turnover, which will naturally increase the profitability of the plant? So I phoned up this bloke and says, hi, it's Paul from Arking Stores, da 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 da. Obviously, you know that we're galvanising for X. We're interested in doing your work. And he says, I phoned you about 15 years ago and you told me to fuck off. You fuck off. And he put the phone down on me. And I was like, you motherfucker. So I drove to Bradford and I went and knocked on his, in fact, Oldham is where that factory is, but the galvaniser was in Bradford. So it was probably, what's that, about half an hour away, 24 minutes.
An hour, 45 minutes, about an hour to 45 minutes away, yeah.
So I went to Oldham, went to the factory, just went to reception. Can I speak to Brian, please? Brian come down. I said, oh, it's Paul from Art. And he says, fuck, you know, you don't take no very lightly, do you, son? I said to him, look, I said, send me some of the containers down and I'll dip them. I'll dip 12 of them for fuck all. Put them through the factory. Let your lads who have to work on them after the galvanised tell you whether they're better or not. I believe that we can improve your production line because our quality is tenfold better than what you're getting currently. And he's like, and obviously being a fucking geezer from Oldham, tight as a duck's arse, he was like, all right, I'll send you 12 down to try. So I was like, all right, sweet. So we'd done that sample for him and he phoned me the next day and he was like, come back up here, let's get a contract in place. So I signed a 2 or 3 year contract with him. It was like my first big deal, that was worth a couple of million quid. And I went and signed the contracts with them. And then the work slowed down and I thought they'd started, but the part of the contract was that they had to give us all of their work exclusively. And we give them a price that was competitive, but still weren't as competitive as our biggest customer. So then we also knew that we were giving an advantage to our biggest customer because their volume was higher. And then when the work slowed down, I said to my MD, I reckon they're putting them back through that factory. So when they're quiet, so I drove up to Bradford, went to the factory, and literally just went there. And I was trying to walk into the factory just as a, all right, mate, I'm looking for the toilet or something. And this geezer come over to me and he's like, can I help you, mate? And I says, oh, yeah. I said, I've got this, but I knew the size of their plant. So I come up with the size of this product I needed doing that. I knew only they could dip. We could dip at Birmingham in our factory. And there's another factory in Telford that could dip it. So there was 3 plants. There's only 3 plants in the country this product could have been dipping. I made it up in my head. And so I've got this product. It's this size. I said, I'm currently using a plant in Telford. I says, I know that you've got the ability to do it. I said, but I'm more interested in having a walk around the factory and seeing what production line you've got and da-da-da. I was just being a nosy cunt, really. And this geezer brought me in, showed me around, showed me what he was doing. And I remember driving back from Bradford, phoned my MD and said, that place is a fucking death trap, man. It was shocking. You know what I mean? For someone who'd seen this mad curve of health and safety coming, they were the very factory where the factory inspector should have went in there and shut the fucking thing down. It was shocking. It was madness. And then it made me realise actually how well we done things. And even though people who didn't know walked in there and there was all a gasp and this, oh my God, how the fuck do you expect people to work in this? I'd be like, get yourself to fucking Bradford, mate. You want to see a shithole of a factory working. You get up there when it's in full swing, man. It was shocking. Like fucking crane up swing. Like I'm walking around as a visitor and they go, whoa, fucking crane. I'm not exaggerating, mate. And in that particular factory, they had an open galvanizing kettle still because they're so old. They actually had an open bath.
Fuck.
So, like, when we had our open bath years ago, we had sirens and everything, and then we had doors. There were only manual pull-over doors, but then there was only one person in the area where the pot was, and he was behind a contraption, which meant he physically couldn't get burnt, even if the worst-case scenario happened, and anything splashing was contained in this big rectangular part of the factory. There, mate, there's people working in fucking, like, sliders and that, fucking zinc splashing all around the fucking place. I was like, what the fuck? But I didn't want to say to him, like, fucking hell, mate, this is a bit raving. You're supposed to have an enclosure on that by law, because I didn't want him to know that I was from another galvanizer.
Yeah.
And then about 10 years after that, I met him somewhere. In fact, we went to buy that factory in Bradford about 2 years ago. We drove up to Bradford and it was up for sale and we were looking at it and whatever. And this Neville who works there, he was like, I know your face from somewhere. And I was like, I said, oh, you might have seen me at some of the galvanizing conventions or whatever. And he's gone, I've never been to none of that shit. That's what I'm saying. And look, never been there for fucking 30 odd years. And I was saying to Tim, my MD, I was like, in a minute, this cunt's going to go, I fucking walked you around this factory, you cunt. And I just knew that he knew me, but he didn't have a fucking clue where from, and he was blowing his mind, I could tell. So yeah, there's this little story about galvanizing.
Fucking hell, that's brilliant. I love that. I honestly swear I love stories like that because it does give you a different aspect to your life. Because everybody expects you to be stood in a vape shop, vaping all day, but they don't. A lot of people don't realize you still run a 9-to-5 job, and you still graft your ass off, and all this sort of stuff opens people's eyes up to.
Well, I put the picture up, didn't I, off the drone of the factory, and the amount of people that messaged me going, "Oh mate, if you bought a factory, is this like a new venture?" And I was like, "No, it's my job, mate. I've been here for fucking 24 years," and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realise you were still working."
That's it. It's very much like that. Everybody thinks you've down tools and just done vaping now for the last 6 years, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I've said to people in the past, like, Paul still work? Like, yeah, he's fucking still grafts his bollocks off day in, day out. He doesn't sit around vaping in the shop all day long. He still works. So they're like, fuck off. Like, serious? He still works. And a lot of people don't get that. I think that's because a lot of people expect everybody in this industry to sort of be 100% at the industry, regardless if you're 100% in the industry, you can still do something in the fucking background.
Well, one thing that we've done from the start was I've always been very honest with my managing director, and we've got a really, really, really good relationship. So I went to him and said to him, look, I've started doing this and it seems to be taking off. And I said, I've been out for the last 4 months every night delivering, and Tasha's out delivering, and I'm looking at opening the shop and whatever. And he's always been really supportive of what I've done. But what I did do about 3 or 4 years ago, when we used to have like annual wage reviews and that, and I never ever give it up because I was allowed to sort of create that empire that we built while I was at work, really. And then if I had to be doing work stuff at home till midnight, that's what I'd done. It didn't make no odds which way I was working it. As long as everything that needed to get done for both businesses was done, then I was satisfying all the needs that was required. But about 4 years ago, I just said to him, he called me for the annual wage rise, and I said to him, look, I don't actually want a wage rise. I says, I like the fact that if I've got to go to a meeting about e-liquid, there's not a drama. And I don't have to lie about it. I don't have to sneak about it. So actually, I'm happy just with the salary that I'm on, the flexibility that I've got. So, I mean, literally, like when I went to Prohibition Vapes to go to Kent and back, it's a day. So I'm like, I'm not going to be in Thursday. I've got a meeting in Kent with someone. And be like, oh, what's that for? Oh, we're looking at dropping a new line of liquid. Oh, bloody hell. But then he'll say to me, how's that going? And so I've always been dead honest with him. So I never felt the need to give my job up, to be honest, because I didn't need to. That says I'm still committed to that job 100%. I still do it's still my priority. And actually, I don't earn nothing out of that job like I have out of the vaping by any stretch of the imagination. But it's still a really good salary by most people's standards.
Stability in it.
Yeah, it's there every month. It pays my bills. And I've had people say, "Oh, you fucking greedy man." And I was like, He was never about greed. If I was greedy, actually, I'd give up my job and open 20 shops.
Mm.
And now I'd be in a position where I wouldn't need to fucking work, because if we'd have made out of 20 shops what we made out of Yardley fucking 3 years ago, we'd have been balling like motherfuckers. But actually, I didn't want that. I was always happy with the shop that we had, doing what he'd done with the amount of staff that we had. It was manageable. I could run it from the factory. And like I said a few weeks ago, my MD had that accident, well, 3 years ago, in about another week or so. That was really when I first ever stood back from the shop and said to Tasha, "Look, you're going to have to manage the ordering of the stock and deal with the staff and whatever. I need to concentrate on this 100%, because Tim was out the game for fucking 3 or 4 months or whatever." But yeah, I still work full time, mate, but I still really enjoy it as well. There's days where I could fucking quite easily just throw in the key to my Discovery and fuck off. But I think that's life, and you can't find a perfect job. But as far as perfect jobs go, I enjoy what we do, and I still enjoy that. And
I think it shows a realism, though. To me, it shows that you are grounded and you still run that job. And regardless of anybody could sit there and call you a cunt and whatnot, I would always sit there and say, well, he actually works a full-time job because he still wants to provide for his family, and he's not gone all, la-di-da and gone off and opened 90 fucking million shops and said, fuck you all.
People say to me, "Yeah, man, you've done all right, haven't you, since you started this vaping?" And I'm like, "Mate, I'm living in the same house I always lived in. I've been in this house for 10 years. I've always drove a nice car. When I first got with Tasha, she didn't drive, but when she did drive, she's always had decent cars. My kids have always had nice clothes because my salary supports that, our standard of living. So actually, nothing particularly changed when we had vaping. You know what I mean? I didn't all of a sudden start walking around in £200,000 fucking diamond encrusted hublock watches and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we probably got more material things than we had, but actually we already had nice material things anyway. We just got slightly nicer material things and stuff like that. So, now, do you know what I mean? I'm not even being big-headed about it. We've always had a decent telly, and we've always had a nice sound system, and I've had PlayStation. I mean, there's nothing changed in my life, literally.
And but that's what's nice to me. It's you haven't changed in that aspect, and I'm not naming any names or calling anyone out on it, but we know people who have changed through money in this industry,
Yeah,
and their whole lives have changed for it, and we all know that.
I've got pals that were fucking earning big money by being dodgy cunts, and it still changes them, and it changes some people for the better. It changes some people for the worse, and I think the only thing in this industry is it's give some people more money than they would have ever imagined they could have earned in a lifetime, just because they were in the right place at the right time. True. And there's other people that I really admire that have amassed a big amount of money in this industry because they've done it cleverly, they've done it calculated, they knew what they were doing, they had a goal and they've gone for it and they've followed their goal and the way that they wanted to do it. But there's some people out there that have there's people out in this industry, mate, walking around in fucking £10,000 watches that should never have been able to earn £10,000 in any other industry at any other time of their life. They were just in the right place at the right time. And I've got no malice for them people. But there's other, I mean, I look at Dale, and actually just the way that Dale's mind ticks and the way that Dale is as a person, he would have made something out of his life in this way, whether it was vaping or not, because it reminds me a lot of me. And that is just this inability to just be happy with what you've got. And it's not because I'm greedy. It's just the way that my mind is. So actually, even down to like going, can we do something with this fucking indoor shit and vaping in there? And what, I don't know. I mean, that's just the way my mind is. And Dale's just the same. He's like, it's not that he's not content financially. And at the end of the day, there's no one that could say, you know what, I'm not about the money. I wouldn't do this if we were losing money. I just wouldn't, because I'm not an idiot. But what I do because I want to do something right, and I want to do
it's like a challenge, isn't it? It's like challenging yourself.
People, like, money has never motivated me to do what we've done in vaping. It was more a passion about doing what we've done as best that we could do it, and by doing that, the money was like a byproduct of that, and it always will be in any business that you're doing. If you do it well and you do it right, and you look at the right things and manage the right things within that business, you've either got a profitable business or you haven't. Some people who are chasing the money don't make the right decisions because they're making decisions based on earning a quick amount of money.
Or to who
Mine
they
was
can cut
never
off
ever
in
like
that
that.
procedure, who
Mine
they
was
can
like
cut off.
a long-term thing. It was just
Mm.
and even now I'm at the point now where the shops are pretty much doing what they do, and we're working on the new stuff for Endless, and we've got the wire and we've got the liquid, and the Nick salt should be dropping soon. And what else? What's something different can I do now that will give me some passion back? And it's not that I'm not passionate about this. I just feel like we've achieved more than I ever set out to achieve. So it's more like, what else is there to do out there that will get my mind ticking again and get me active? Because I'm probably at my best when I'm working on 20 different projects, because it's just the way that my mind works. So when I'm bored, I end up putting up snotty statuses to warm people up, because that makes my day go. I mean, genuinely, when I'm busy, mate, you'll never see a shitty status. So,
But it's as I keep saying, but it is nice to hear, because obviously we have been in this industry from basically dot, and it is nice to see that the people that actually was, and there is people in the industry that got in at dot at the same as us, and they have made millions, and they were basically there at the right time, and they've literally been successful through just being when it was an infant, and now you sort of see that the people are a lot of the, not necessarily all companies, but majority of the new companies are in for the dough. They're not in for the passion of vaping, because that drive of passion is not there.
James Burr as an example. I didn't know James from Adam. I met him through UK Vape Deals. I messaged him about buying some clone K funds off him. That was actually the first conversation we ever had. And he was like, literally, I'm just setting up my shop. My shop should be opening. And we'd already opened our shop about 6 or 8 weeks before that. And he was like, my shop should be opening in a couple of months, blah, blah, blah. And I heard nothing. So I messaged him and said, mate, sorry to nod your head. I need some clone K-Fans. Can you sell me some? He's like, I'm really sorry. I've just been busy. Come up to the shop. And I went to King Standing. It hadn't even opened. They were still finishing it off and doing. But me and James spent a lot of time together in them early days, because I was at his shop. We were buying stuff together. We were doing sort of joint orders, and he was doing his thing and I was doing mine. But there was this little bit in the middle where we were working together. But straight away, you just knew by talking to James and talking to James's mum, and his dad was there, and Matt was in and out, but Matt weren't really working for them at the time. He got his own job and whatever. You just knew that the way that they run that business was just the way that they would run any business. And it weren't about being the biggest and the best. It was about doing it right. And actually, you look at where James is now, probably the biggest distributor in the UK, certainly next to Flawless or thereabout. I mean, it's up there with the top 2 or 3 distros in the country.
Easy, yeah.
Easily. 3 or 4 stores behind him, and everything he's done right. And that is what creates that business model. It's not the money, because if you didn't have the right business model, you'd never met the money to put back into the business to grow it. It's the business model being done properly that gives you the funds to then grow it more. And by growing it more, you create more money. By creating more money, you can grow the business more. You can only do that if you've got the right business mentality in the fucking first place. Because my old man always used to say to me, you can give 2 people £1 million, and next year someone's going to come back with 5 million. The other guys will come back skint on his ass. And you could take all the money off and give them both another £1 million. The same one would come back with 5, and the other one would still come back broke on his ass. So you always see, like, I wouldn't say you always see all people, but I've seen people say, oh yeah, but once you've got money, money makes money. It does, but it only makes money if you've made the right decisions. Because when you've got money to the level where you could put £100,000 into a business, if you're not making that decision right, mate, you could lose 100 grand in the click of a finger. By not making the right decision. There's so many 100 grand you can lose before you're on your ass.
Damn right.
You know what I mean? And even we scale that down and say, right, we're going to put 10 grand into a project. But when we done build them, I don't know what build them cost me, getting on for 15,000 quid. And as it goes, it's worked decent for us. It's not been as good as it could have been if we'd have done it 2 years before, but it's more than paid for itself. And we've pre-ordered, and we've got shops out there that are stocking it, and we've got regular customers that come back for it, and it worked. But I could have been sat on 17 grand's worth of wire and not sold a coil of it.
Yeah.
And
I remember you sitting there night after night just building with this wire, testing it before you even went anywhere with it. So that in itself is you actually learning about the product.
One of the reasons why I decided to go for it in the end was I was struggling as a shop owner to get the right stock for my shop. with as far as a one-stop shop's concerned for wire. So we had bits of wire doctrine, and we had bits of fucking chaos in, and we had some flat wiring, and we had some standard stuff in, and then obviously China started manufacturing different types of wire and whatever. But actually, for me to just phone up someone and say, "Can I have 20 spools of 28 gauge Canthal?" I didn't even know where to get the fucking stuff from, unless I went to China, and then it's just not worth doing that unless I've got another big order going in. And then at 9 times out of 10, the company that I would order $20,000 worth of electrical items off didn't even have the Canthal.
Yeah.
And then to order Canthal off the other company, I've got to put fucking another $3,000 or $4,000 into it. And I was like, well, I might as well just put the money into my own range, and I can spec it. Then I can know what I want and get what we want, and we can brand it ourselves, and we can do it. But certainly, money only makes money if you've got the mentality to make money.
It's weird if you're wanting to spend it, though. There's a lot of people that just spend it.
Mate, there's people that will completely outspend the company's ability to carry on trading. You see, and certainly with a lot of inexperienced business people, they've got no idea of cash flow whatsoever. So actually, they'll spend 17 grand on wire, and they'll get 25 grand back in off that order, or 30 grand, or whatever the margin is on that job. But they've spent 30 grand on a new car, and when it comes to reordering the wire, they're like, "Fuck, I ain't got no money to reorder. But I got a nice new car outside. Everyone's happy." That just don't make sense to me.
No,
Like I've said many times, like we were getting on for 2 years in before we took a penny out of that business, and we probably made more in that second year, or second and third year were probably the sort of most financially returning years. And we were taking very little out of the business because it was growing that much. Everything went back into it. Now I could have just fucking been walking around in fucking Rolexes, dripping in diamonds, fucking whatever, and not putting it back into the shop. But at some point during that first 2 or 3 years, we'd have been scratching our heads saying, "Oh, the shop's just not doing very well." But actually, as a small shop, one shop, and I stand by this, we probably stocked amongst the broadest range of products of any other shop in the country, because that was my goal. It was what I wanted to do, and we've done it exceptionally well. And we was on it early, and we had product in early, and we were first in the UKs with stuff, or joint first in the UKs with stuff, and that's what we've done, and we've done it exceptionally well. Now it's just a case of going down to the wholesaler, seeing what they've got. There's nothing new out there to break into the market. It is what it fucking is. I don't particularly enjoy that. We're just buying stuff and we're selling now. We could be buying or selling anything. The mentality in the shop's different. The mentality with the customers is different. You've still got some old school vapors that come in and like to have a 2-hour chat and do a build and fuck about and whatever. Generally, people come in, order their shit and fuck off. I could be selling tins of beans.
The way of the industry is definitely very much changed. As in, we even discussed about getting like vape meets back together, and we didn't because it just doesn't seem viable for people. People don't come. People don't sit around vape shops anymore. No, it's not the way it's consumed, is it?
We will put on some meets. We will do something. I'm determined to do something, because there is people that will travel, and the people that travel are the people that I want to come, because they're the ones that they've got that old school mentality to do something different. And
yeah, it just bemuses me with my mind and how the industry's actually changed from the way it was. And we always go back to sort of not necessarily just us, but being the guinea pigs of it, and how it was so exciting. And whenever new stuff dropped, it was just like, fucking, have you seen this? And everybody was talking about it, you messaging each other. None of it's just, I feel like the industry itself, not the industry, but the community wise of it, is very cliquey. And it's not very much sort of like everyone's doing it for everyone rather than I'm individual. And I think that's changed the competition wise and everything like that, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading James Clark there saying, "I will admit money has changed me because I'm comfortable now. It's nice to go into a supermarket and not have to worry about the price." And quite honestly, James, that's the only thing that's changed in my life, is just that little bit more security than what we always had. And I've been completely open and honest, man. When after my first marriage went tits up, and me and Tasha got together, and financially we weren't in a good place. I was in a good enough place to be able to have a roof over my head and have food in my kids' mouths, but I couldn't afford to take them to McDonald's because I just didn't have that extra money every month, and I couldn't afford to just go and buy them a pair of trainers or them sort of bonus type things. You know what I mean? Now,
They're not even like a luxury though, are they? They're
No,
basic.
that's what I'm saying. It weren't like, oh yeah, come on, let's go and fucking have a £600 meal at some fucking swanky restaurant. It was literally, I couldn't afford to take all the kids to McDonald's in one shot. So when the kids going, oh, can we have McDonald's? I'll be like, well, we'll go another day. I didn't have it. So the only thing that changed for us personally is that if the telly blew up and we needed to go and buy a new telly, I didn't have to check the bank and see whether we needed to fucking borrow 500 quid to go and buy a new telly. I could buy a new telly and not have to stress about it. And I think that is the only thing that changed in our life. I see people saying, oh yeah, money don't make you happy. I'd rather be crying in a fucking Rolls Royce than a Bentley. I'll tell you what, if you're sat in a Rolls Royce crying, you're in a much darker place than you are sat in a flat with no Rolls Royce crying. I promise you that for fuck all, because if you think that you've got this sad, lonely existence and money's going to change that, money will multiply your feeling of depth of being in a dark place and not having the right people around you more so, because you'll feel like it should be happening now and it's still not happening and whatever. If you've got a good life and a good moral standing and you do things right and you're a good, decent person, money will just make you a better person. Not because you're some swanky stuck-up cunt, just because you appreciate what you've got.
Mm.
It's not about bowling round in fucking like James Clark in fucking £6 million trainers and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, I like my shoes and I've got some nice expensive shoes. And if I didn't have the vape shop, I wouldn't have had them shoes. But I certainly wouldn't be sat here going, oh my God, as if the likes of James Clark can afford them and I can't afford them. Actually, I'm quite the opposite. I'm like, you know what, fair play to him, man. He's worked hard and he deserves to have them. That's what life's about. It's about getting some sort of reward for your effort. So things like that. I have spent stupid amounts of money on shoes. I don't have to check the bank and say, oh God, am I going to be able to afford these? That says I don't go out on the piss. I don't go out with my fucking pals. Apart from now, I've bought some remote control stuff. So I'm but even that, it's like I've spent about £1,000 on remote control cars. One of them for Christmas, and then what I bought the other day. But throughout the year, I'm not living some mad fucking swanky fucking lifestyle, blowing hundreds of thousands of pounds on shit. It's not how I live my life. So if I choose to treat myself to something that I want to do, I do, and I've got no qualms about it. But I've done that all my life, mate. That's not just because of now. Before,
but when you do it, you don't whack it on social media either. That's the thing.
I put my cars up there. I'm not going, oh yeah, I've just paid fucking £2,000 for this. It's just like, oh, I've got myself a toy, mate, having a rip with it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether it's 50 quid or £5,000. If you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. But we've worked too hard not to have our little enjoyments out of it. Do you know what I mean? And if that's me and Tash getting a night out once in a blue moon and spending fucking we've been to the casino, mate, and again, without sounding pretentious, if we went to the casino once every 6 months and blew £3,000, for me, if we go out and do that, that'd be fine. But actually, I don't do that. I go to the casino and I've got 30 quid in my machine. And if like the last time we went was probably for my birthday last January, and we went to the casino. And we had like putting £20 in the fucking roulette machines. And Tash was sat next to me playing a roulette. I was playing roulette. And she won with £2 on a number. So she gets fucking 70 odd quid back for that. 36 to 1 or whatever it is on the roulette table. Mate, Tasha's cashing out. She's like, fuck that, man. I ain't wasting it. So we ended up going in the casino, having a few drinks, playing for an hour, walking out with fucking 100 quid more than we went in with. I'm happy with that, man. We had a good night. We went and had food. The money that we won in the casino paid for the meal. It's not about going in there and chucking fucking 5 bags down on the table and giving it the big one just so everyone else goes, fuck me, he must be boring. I'd rather cash my 100 quid out and go and eat for fuck all.
Oh, that's realism. That's just realism. That's just you being a real person and not being like that way. Because I'll be realistic with you. There is people like that, but the way that social media and everything works these days, everyone has to be flexing, and you have to flex in some way.
Giant, leave more trainers out of this long music. Mate, I got myself some reflectives for my birthday yesterday.
As long as you didn't get the statics, because I don't like the statics.
Is them the ones that were dropped last week or the week before?
Have you got statics? They've got the fucking clear bar through the side.
Whatever James got in the week, I had
statics. The white, and then they've got like a clear line through the side.
No, I feel are the statics, James. Or
go get him! Go get him! Go get him! Put them on social media, floss.
I can't because at the moment I'm doing Banter in my pants, man. I've got the t-shirt on. I'm sat in a pair of Calvin Klein boxer shorts.
I'm going to call this show and change the name of the show to
Yeah,
Banter.
whichever one James put on Instagram yesterday or the day before, they look like white and grey, and is that the one?
I think if the statics, Paul, I know you should have a really good sock game, so you need to go out and get some penguins like we were talking about, or diamonds to show your sock game through your shoes. So I'm gonna have a look, and if they are the statics, you've got to have a good sock game. No, they're statics. Yeah, you got statics. You got statics. You need to go out and buy some off-white socks. Yeah, the statics you got. Static 350s.
Yeah, the V50s, 350 V2s, isn't they?
Yeah, statics. You need to get some good socks for them. You need to wear them at Expo with good socks. Not just plain white socks.
I'm not wearing them at Expo. I need to properly up my shoe game for Expo, man. Every man and the dog's walking around in Yeezys at Expo.
I'll be walking around in my gifts, so I'll be walking around Expo on them carpet traders.
Funny, when we went to Manchester, I took 3 pairs of Yeezys, didn't I? Because I had a different pair on every day. And I remember Taz Dean from fucking Grey going to me, fucking 3 different pairs of Yeezys, you cunt. Every day you've had a different pair on. I was like, so, you prick. I was watching everyone's shoe game, man, see what fucking shoes they're going to pull out the bag.
You see, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like when we was talking about you obviously being real and stuff like that, and I've always some people have asked me, what's Paul do like as a hobby? And random question, why the fuck are they asking me that, not you? What Paul do as a hobby? He doesn't have a hobby. He enjoys nice clothes. If you look at him, he always looks good. Always wears a nice pair of shoes. Always looks good. But he never stunts. He never's like, yeah, look at me bossing in these like just everyday wear. So like when you're saying you're looking at shoe game and stuff, it's like I love that because it does make it's real. Because you know what you're flossing, but you're not the person that's going, do you know what? Look at these. And I like that. That to me is very humbling because you know what you like and you get what you like and that's it. And you look good in what you wear, but you're not the person that's standing there going, this is what I've got.
No, you know what? I don't.
And that's not me like blowing smoke up your ass.
No,
it's me being like you're a real person.
Look, even from a young kid, I always wanted what I wanted. So if I wanted some Reebok pump back in the day. They were £120, mate. We're going back a 30 stretch here. Look, I was about 12 or 13 when
Reebok. Stop telling Jovan. You're every white man wears a Reebok.
Reebok Classics. You look like a man who wears Reebok Classics to me. Now, I want these Reebok pumps, and at the time, I could get a pair of Nikes for about 50 or 60 quid, which was still a lot of money by comparison, man. There was people out there fucking wearing £15 trainers, do you know what I mean? But I always wanted what I wanted. And I used to say to him, like my dad would say, you've got 40 quid. And I'd be like, I'll leave it for now then. I'll just wait until I can save a bit more and I'll wait until I've got what I want because I don't want to buy a £40 pair of trainers because then I've wasted £40 and I'm £40 further away from getting the ones that I want. And I'm still the same now. Look, sometimes, and I'm not giving it the bigger now. Look, some of my Giuseppe's are fucking stupid money. 950 quid. Right, but I don't go out and buy Giuseppe's every Saturday. I ain't got like a fucking £60,000 shoe collection in Giuseppe's. But other times I'll look at a pair of Nikes and go, there's no way I'm paying a $1 for them. They're just not worth 100 quid. So it's not about just and look, even yesterday we went to Nichols and I was looking at some of the Louboutin trainers. And actually I prefer a pair of Giuseppe's and the Louboutins are like I can get a pair of Giuseppe's from. In fact, the last pair I bought on a sale, so they were about 250 quid. So it's still a lot of money for a pair of shoes. However, I've got a pair of black Giuseppe's that I've had for over 12 months that I've worn to work. And our factory's shitty, man. I mean, I don't just bowl through the shit in them. I'm careful in them. But like, literally, they're still tight. They still look like a decent pair of shoes. And I've worn them as a daily shoe for fucking at least 6 months. Do you know what I mean? So I could have spent more than what I spent on them buying a pair of even Nike Air Force Ones, 100 quid or 120 quid. And that I used to wear like black Air Force Ones for work just because they're comfortable, but they're sturdy. But actually, the soles would fuck up on them. So I might still go through 3 or 4 pairs of them a year. It's £400. Actually, the Yeezys are still mint, and actually, when I clean them, I could still wear them out if I wanted to. I mean, the Giuseppe. So I'm not just flippant with this stuff, and it's not like, oh yeah, I'll wear a pair of fucking £600 trainers to work because I'm giving it the big. And actually, they're comfortable, they're hardy, they look nice, they look presentable, and I don't wear them every day. But if I wear them, I wear them, and if I don't, I don't. And I'm not about like that whole. The only pair of Yeezys I haven't worn are my triple whites, and that's only because to me they're a bit more of a summer trainer than a winter trainer. They got dropped in the winter, so I haven't worn them. But it's not because I've got them boxed in a fucking cupboard waiting to flip them for 500 quid. It's just because I haven't worn them yet. Anything I've got, I wear. I don't buy anything just to stick on a shelf. I've never done it with my mods. I'd vape £1,000 mod the same as I'd fucking wear a pair of £600 shoes to school, to work. That's just how I am, and that's how I've always been.
Fuck that! I put paper underneath mine and man back in boxes.
Don't get me wrong, I've got other pairs of Giuseppe's. I'll wear them and then I'll put them back in the dust bags and put them back in the box under the bed. And but I'm not just chucking them around and wrecking them for the sake. I'm not going to not wear them either. You know what I mean? It's like I buy them to wear them. I look after them shit. And say that the first pair of Giuseppe's I've got are over 12 months old, and they still look mint.
But it's nice to be able to do that. You know, that's what I appreciate more, is that you're able to do that. You're stable enough to go out and spend that money on shoes, and you still appreciate it. And you don't, and as you say, you don't just throw them around. You do look after them because you appreciate the value of cash, and that's the main thing of it. A lot of people don't appreciate the value of stuff. Like you always teach your kids, don't you, to appreciate a pound, appreciate money. It just don't come from nowhere. And when you
money don't come easy, and even when it comes easy, it don't come easy because look, I'm not even going to say the kid's name, but I used to have a geezer on More Friends list, and I fucked him off in the end. But he was always like, "Oh yeah, that's easy for you to say because you got dough and fucking rare." And I was like, mate, that's been my mentality for the last 25 years. I've been involved in this fight game for fucking 4 or 5 years or whatever it was. He's like, yeah, but fucking hell, man. He's like, it's easy for you. And it's like, no, it's not easy for me. Because actually, even when we were at our busiest in that shop making the most cash every week that we've ever made, repetitively, week after week after week after week, that fucking money was coming in. I had more stress about the fact of making sure we got the right stock. What if it doesn't work out? I'm employing these staff. I worried about them because I never, ever worried about the money because it was never a driver.
Yeah.
So, all right, I might not be stressing about if the fridge breaks, I can go and buy a new fridge, but you're still stressing about other shit to do with that business, whatever way it fucking works.
But I hate that because that mindset of people to me just seems like it's envy. It's not the factors that you celebrate.
Comes across that way. I hate people that say, "Oh, it's all right for you." Why is it all right for me? Why is
it's just envy.
What have we got around us that you couldn't have had around you? And they say, "Oh, I didn't have the money to start up." We didn't. We started with pittance. We started with every penny we had. And we risked it, and it either worked or it didn't fucking work. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be talking to you now because I wouldn't have been able to afford the fucking MacBook.
Or the internet.
Or the
internet, yeah.
Simple as. But they'll never ever say, you know what, fair play. They risked everything they had to do that. It's always like, oh, it's all right for them, man. They started at the right time. We actually started at a time where it could have flopped as much as it fucking took off.
Yeah.
And I always used to feel like I was doing the fucking 50 Shades in the year before this, but I was vaping. I was vaping 18 months before I ever started selling a vape. In fact, maybe 2 years before. And when I first started doing the vaping and it took off the way that it did, even from the house before we'd ever got the shop and we were out delivering every single night, and we'd done that solidly for over 11 months, every single night, bar 3 nights. Now I'm all things, but I used to think then, oh, imagine if we'd have started this 2 years ago. But then actually, I think 2 years before that was too early.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a fad
then.
then.
It was too niche. It was too not mainstream enough. And even when we started, and I'm using a C4 and that, and people are going to me, "You got fucking wacky backy in that, mate?" No, it's a fucking electronic cigarette. We still had to go through that. But 2 years prior to that, mate, they were a bit alien, weren't they?
Yeah, you never saw anybody in there with them. You look now.
There's a time and a place, and if you're in the right time at the right place, and it is about taking a risk, and it is about. I'm not about luck, but I think some of the luck's created by yourself. And mate, when we had 500 quid, £500 that actually I've done a foreigner at work that was a legitimate foreigner through the managing director for a customer that was a friend of mine, and I'd galvanised some stuff for him, and he give me a £500 drink, and that £500 drink started everything we've got. But at that time, mate, that £500, and we started the business in the August or the September, should have been put in a pot for Christmas. That's what should have happened. We were looking to buy a caravan just so we could take our kids on holiday. And I was saying to Tasha, should we just have a punt with it and see how it goes? If we lose it, it was money we never had. And she's like, yeah, but it's 500 quid that we've got in our hand now. And I was like, I know, I just feel like we should try it. And we could have tried that, lost that 500 quid, struggled that Christmas to buy the kids a present, and just carried on as we was before. As it goes, it worked well for us. But we put more effort in the last 6 years to do what we do, time-wise. We've sacrificed more time apart because she's at the shop, I'm at the shop, we're both out doing whatever we're doing, sacrifice time with the kids, sacrifice weekends at expos, sacrifice weekends at the shops, all sorts of things where it doesn't matter how much money you've got around you, if you're that involved in the business, you can't even take the kids out on the weekend because you ain't got time to do it, because you've got to do the business. And because my mentality isn't about just making the money, I found it really difficult not to do what had to be done when it had to be done, at the expense of not being able to be with the kids the weekend. Now, financially, I could have said, fuck it, man, we'll go out, we'll take them, we'll go on holiday, we'll do this, we'll do that and the other. But the reality is when you do that, that's when shit starts going wrong, because you're not doing what you need to do when it needs to be done. Now, we're in a position now where Tasha's just decided to go back to work and she's just got pregnant again, so she will do something. But actually, we've been fortunate enough since a couple of months before she had Emmy, so whatever that is now, 18 months or whatever that time scale is, she hasn't had to go to work, and I'm still doing my normal job. And very rarely do we go down the shops. Yes, she's going to the wholesalers and picking up bits and pieces, but generally we get the weekends to ourselves. Generally we get the evenings to ourselves, whether that be me and Tash with the kids, the weekend, whatever we're doing. For fucking 5 years, mate, that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And people say, yeah, but you're dead lucky you are. And I just feel like smacking him in the face.
There's no luck about it.
It drives me mad. And everyone that's done anything in their life has made a conscious decision to do that. And the people that haven't done it have made a conscious decision not to do it.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's just like it should be celebrated, rather than people being like, "Oh yeah, it's all right for you" and whatnot. It should be celebrated. You should celebrate somebody's success. The thing is, it's such a negative energy to feel like, "Oh fucking hell, it's all right for you." You know what I mean? You've got that dough. Well, do something about it. Make something happen. If you can't do it, then do it. And I should really take my own advice. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's negative. A lot of people are negative, and it's not about when we all first started, and it was everybody was sort of doing what they had to do to get by, and obviously start building the businesses through vaping. And now a lot of these days, everyone's sort of like, do you know what? You've done it, and it's so negative. There is no positivity.
I put status up in the week, and it rings true to me a hell of a lot. Is the people that want you to be successful, but just not as successful as them, are the cunts to watch out for. Because they're the ones that give you this false hope that they've got your back, but really they're fingering your ass. And it is about not stocking your product because they'll put an extra pound in your pocket. Doesn't matter what you spend with them, they're not going to spend nothing back, because otherwise that'll balance out the amount of money you've spent with them, and then you might be on a better playing field. I always think I'm on a better level in life than you anyway. It's not about money, because the money genuinely isn't a driver for me. It isn't. And James has just said something about Natalie, that she sort of goes on like she's got to worry about where the next meal's coming from, and she respects money. And even with me having a good wage, she still tells me off daily. That's not a bad thing, because to become complacent about the amount of money you've got coming to any house, my life could change like that, mate. I could be in a car crash tomorrow and end up in a wheelchair and not be able to do football. No, I mean, I'm touching wood here that doesn't happen, but life can fucking switch on you. Can switch on any cunt. And as much as I go on about fucking dole dusters and people drawing state benefit and all that bullshit, there's people out there that make that life choice to do that. They're the cunts that fucking irritate me. If someone's circumstances says that they've got to claim benefits, I'm not on Facebook going, oh yeah, my God, as if they've got 2 disabled kids and they can't even get a job. That's not what I'm on about. I'm on about people that make a conscious decision to say, and it's more the conscious decision to say, if I work 40 hours a week, do you know I'm only 40 quid a week better off than not working? And I'm like, £40 a week. I can remember a time, mate, where I didn't have 40 quid a week. I didn't have £40 a month spare, let alone £40 a week. And when I've got to borrow 20 quid to buy my kids Easter eggs, and that is that's not me trying to hold out a begging bowl and going, oh, my life was so bad. I borrowed £20 to buy my kids Easter eggs because my card got declined in Asda. And Easter was on like the 10th of April or something. I've just been paid at the end of March. I don't get paid again till the end of April. And I've had to borrow 20 quid to fucking put Easter eggs on, give my kids a fucking £3 Easter egg from Asda. £40 a week is £160 a month. He's fucking £1,920 a year. It's £2 grand a year. £2 grand a year where you could take your kids on a caravan holiday in the summer. £2 grand a year where you could say, you know what, kids, we're gonna buy you a swing for the back garden, 160 quid from Toys R Us. Because I've worked for that. So go out and enjoy the swing, because the kids will also appreciate the fact that they had that swing because mum chose to go to work, or dad chose to go to work, or mum and dad chose to go to work. When you've got this mentality of, oh, I'm not even working, what's 40 quid? It's because they've got too much money. Anyone that's flippant about £40, mate, has got too much money. Or they're damn fucking bone-idle cunts.
It's about being proud for me. Being proud in your
I
own.
always used to say it's about me knowing that my kids know that everything we've got is because me and Tash have worked hard. Because yet my dad had his own business and I worked for my dad, and he even gave me the company, but he didn't make me any money. By the time our dad gave it me, it was on a downturn. He retired. And don't get me wrong, he didn't hand me a crock of shit. It was just the way times were. The industry that he was in changed, and everything changed around him. I chose then, after having weeks where I earned £1,000 25 years ago, which was fucking still good standards by today's standard. And I didn't have that every week, but I'd have these mad weeks where I'd be walking around with a grand in my pocket like fucking Rockefeller. I went and worked in that factory for £2.64 an hour.
Fuck.
And then it went up to £3.16, mate. And I thought I was flossing, but I would work 90 hours a week in the factory. And people used to say to me, "You're fucking mad, you are, man. You're here morning, noon, and night." And I was like, "I'm here to earn money. So if there's a double shift going, I'll do the double shift. If there's a Saturday and a Sunday shift, I'm on it. I'm getting paid for it." And then you got these mad dickheads that go, "Oh, I ain't working Saturday, mate. The tax man takes it all off you." I want to slap people like that. I'm like, he doesn't. You're a prick. Yeah, you pay more tax, but you've earned more fucking money. I've got more money in my pay packet next week than I did have this week.
Mm.
And if there's more double shifts to be had, I'm on it. And I've done that, mate. I've done 100-hour weeks. I've worked my butt. I've done a double shift. I've done a 6 till 2 shift, a 2 till 10 shift, and a 10 till 6 night shift. And then I had to do my own 6 till 2 shift.
Fucking
That's
hell.
24 hours straight through. And I've done it, one, because the company was in the shit. And I've always had this thing about, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly. So actually, when people are going, "Oh, can you do a double shift, mate?" They're going, "Nah, fuck that, man. It's the summer." I was like, you know what? We got customers to get this work out to. Even as a 19-year-old kid, mate, I remember thinking, you know what? No one's going to do this. And I've already done 2 shifts, but you know what? I'll do it, because otherwise we ain't going to get that order out tomorrow. And if that customer cancels on us, 6 of us might not have a job next week. I might be on that 6 list. And all the same cunts that says to me, "Oh, you're mad, mate, man. You'll never make nothing of this fucking business." As I started progressing up the ladder and become supervisor, and then fucking shift manager, and then fucking production manager, and then group production manager when we had 3 sites, and then group operations director, all I can say is every effort I put in there, I reaped the rewards for it, but it was hard going. And I did sacrifice family time because I did work like a fucking pole, and I grafted, and I just got stuck in. I'd done what I had to do, and I had to fucking do it. And if I had a Saturday off, it was a blessing. And then I used to enjoy my weekend off. But if there was work, I'd be out there grafting and earning. Mate, I started there on a Tuesday. I'd done 7 till 5 on the Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'd done 6 till 2 and the 2 till 10 shift. And I worked the Saturday and the Sunday. So I'd done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was 6 days. I didn't start, so I'd have done 7 if I'd have started on the Monday, but I'd done 6 days. I'd done Wednesday, Thursday, Friday double shifts, Saturday and Sunday shift, and I took home about 290 quid. Right.
Fucking
And I
hell.
was like, what the fuck, man? I used to be able to earn that in a day before. And I was like, you know what, though? It's there every week. My base wage was about 160 quid. And for that, mate, I was grafting for fucking 40 hours a week, grafting. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it, mate. It's there every single week. I've only got to give my dad 25 quid a week rent. And I saved and I saved and I saved and I saved. And 18 months later, I bought my first house. But I grafted hard for it. And it's like, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to sort of like promote this fact that I'm some sort of hero. That's just the way that I was wired. It was the way my dad taught me to be. And even with my own kids now, I've got my son 16, getting on for 17, and the good thing about Billy is that I know as much as he's like, oh, dad, boy us that, man, boy us this, boy us that. I know he knows that you get out what you put in. The younger girls, like that, they come home from school asking if we were upper class. Not for any other reason than every kid in Sinead's class, bar one other kid, got free tablets. And we could, like, for the Android tablets, we couldn't get them for our kids because we're not claiming benefits. And I was like, we're not upper class, no, we're working class. We've got to, you know, me and your mum are out working every day. Everything we've got is because we work so hard. And every time, like, we'd have to go out doing deliveries and they'd be going, oh, we've got to do deliveries again. I was like, yeah, because when you want to go on a school trip, or when you want to put the Sky television on, or when you want internet, or when you want fucking top up on your phone credit, you don't magic out of thin air. So the harder we work, the more you get. The more you get, the harder you can work when you're older. But for me, it was more about that understanding that everything we've got because we've worked for. Nothing's been given to me, nothing at all. And anything that was given to me, I'd fucking pissed up the wall by the time I was 18. It was done. That's when I started working in the factory. I just turned 19. In fact, on February the 14th, that was the day that I started on Valentine's Day. I started on Valentine's Day. I've been there 24 years on Valentine's Day.
Fucking hell.
And I've worked fucking damn hard, but I ended up in a position where I was the only people above me in that company were the directors at the time. And every person that had said to me along the way, "Oh, you mad, mate, no one looks after you here," they were all working for me. And I was 21 when I got the manager's job. 22, mate. In fact, I was 22 because my my daughter was born when I was 23, and I got the manager's job in the January when I was 22, and then I was obviously 23 on the 8th of January, and she was born in the June. So within four years, I'd progressed up to manager. The only people above me then were the board of directors. It took me then another fucking 10 years to become a director, but that was just the way it was. That the only way I'd have got a directorship earlier was if the director died. So he ended up. Do you know what I mean? There was like, unless he retired or died, there wasn't the space for me. So when he retired, I progressed to that. And look, even now, Billy's at a point where he's looking at what he should do. Should he do an apprenticeship or whatever? And I was saying to him last night, and Tasha was saying to him, do something that you think you can enjoy. Do something that you think you can stick at. Don't do an apprenticeship next year just so you haven't got to go to school for 2 more years. Because now he's got to stay in some sort of higher education till he's 18. Has to. And I'm
Is that
saying,
a law? Is that a law now?
I'm pretty sure that's the case. But either way, he's saying, I don't want to go back to college, man. I'd rather do an apprenticeship and earn some money and sort of know my worth and do something for me. And I was like, well, do that, but don't just pick something that's gonna not make you have to go to school. Pick something that you can enjoy, something you get your teeth stuck into, something that you can make something of. Because I don't, no matter what I've got around me, I don't want to just give it to my kids and say, well, yeah, you ain't got to work, don't worry about it, man, I'll sort you out. Actually, you have. And when you're 16 or if you're earning, you need to pay some rent because you can't go and live nowhere for fuck all unless you're Tom and you're moving into your mum's. But generally, my old man taught me to pay my rent as my first priority, and that meant I got a roof over my head, and that was it. And like, if I got home on a Friday, mate, and I didn't pay my rent, I had nowhere to fucking stop. Simple as. But I could give my dad his rent money and I could borrow it back off him. He just wanted to know that I'd kept it aside to pay my rent. I could hand him the 25 quid and say, Dad, do us a favour, man, borrow me 25 quid till next week. And he'd give me my rent back and say, yes, son. But if I'd have got into him and said, I ain't got your rent, I'll pay you double next week, he'd say, you fucking won't, mate. Fuck off.
Off you go, yeah.
And it was like that whole mentality of prioritise the way that you spend your money, because my dad always used to say, you can only spend your money once. And it's true, you can, no matter how much you've got, you can only spend each £10 note once, and when it's gone, it's gone. You might earn it again, but that £10 done and gone. So spend it fucking wisely, because you can only spend it fucking once, and make it count.
Yeah, you're fucking right, 100%. That's what, as you say, it's morals, isn't it? That's your morals, and that's what people stand by. But a lot of people don't stand by them. But as I always question, is it down to parents, or is it down to the society we live in at the minute?
I think it's a mixture of both. Personally, I honestly think that the mentality of a benefit life, and I say this isn't generalising. This is saying people that have pretty much made a conscious decision to say, well, I'm going to just stay on benefits because it pays my rent and my kids get free school meals, and we're living. They've still got a fucking 55-inch telly, and they've still got Sky TV, and they've still got broadband, and the kids have still got fucking Nike Airs on their feet and all the other things. They plead poverty, but to be fair, mate, there's people on the streets. I get that, and I get there's people that have got fuck all. But anyone that's got a roof over their head and they're claiming benefit on any nature is not living poverty, because they've got a roof over there, they've got food in their cupboards, and if they haven't got them basic things, they're spending the money badly, because they want the iPhone fucking XS, and they want the fucking 5G data pack, and they want the fucking all channel Sky TV, and they want the nails and the tan and the fucking weave and all the other bullshit that goes with it. You have to prioritize your life. And if you choose not to, and you still get by okay, I don't understand. There's probably 2 or 3 out of every 10 kids that are brought up that way that say, actually, I want something more for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and work. The other 7 will go, mum and dad got on all right. Fuck you, man. I ain't going to bust my balls for some fuck the government, man. Only fucking paying for the illegal immigrants anyway. And it's that whole mentality of fuck it, I ain't putting my bit in.
Sounds like my street.
There's a lot of people out there, but it's because they don't need to go out and work because they're given too much money. That's my personal opinion. And I see people daily going, fucking hell, my universal credit's been fucked up, man. I've got nothing. You've just typed out a status on £1,000 smartphone, right? Don't tell me you've got nothing. When you have to advertise that in the fucking shop window on a postcard because you ain't got internet, then I'll accept that fucking times are hard, but you can't be having £1,000 phone in your hand where the contract is 50 or 60 or I've seen iPhone contracts as much as 80 quid a month, mate. But they'll have them because they want the iPhone and they want the XS because it's the best phone, man. And when I'm down to school in my pajamas, I look sick. You don't. You look like a fucking cunt. And it's that mentality of, look, why the fuck do you think you should have an iPhone XS when you've not got a day's work in you? Why do you think it's unfair that your little Johnny ain't got his fucking £100 shoes on his feet? Because you're a lazy cunt. Oh, yeah, it's pointless me going to work, man. Fucking I only thought you could have eat better off. So at the end of the month, you'd be able to buy Johnny's fucking trainers for a £1, and you'd have 60 quid to pay your fucking iPhone bill. Next month, Johnny don't need your trainers, man. You got another 100 quid there. You could buy some paint and decorate your living room. I ain't doing that, man. It ain't mine. It's council. I ain't fucking spending my money. So you want a free roof over your head. You ain't going to put a penny back into it. You want all the luxuries of life that I get because I work hard for. And the only difference is the level of materialism or the expense of the particular telly or the expense of the particular stereo that you've got. But most people have got a big flat screen TV. Most people have got fucking package cable. Most people have got fucking 300 meg broadband. Most people have got smartphones. The kids have got smartphones. They've got all them other things. And then go, oh, government shit, man. They're fucking housing fucking immigrants and I can't even afford to live. You don't know the fucking born, man. And that's what grips more shit.
That's what it is. It's what it is. It's true though. It's true though. I can't get an house though. Well,
James, I mean, James is saying that I admit I've been flexing on Instagram, but I follow James on Instagram, and actually, I think there's a difference between going out and grafting and going, you know what, I've got myself some sick shoes, man, and I've worked hard for them. There's someone who posts every single fucking item they've bought. I'm like, you don't need to do it. You know what I mean? If James was like posting his fucking Yeah, I've just, like, even James, he puts a picture up of his Yeezys, and he's just got his fucking little hashtags there with Yeezys and whatever his hashtags are. It's not like, yeah, just bag myself £180 pair of shoes, man, or if he's bought them off someone else, he might have paid 220 for them or two. It's not about that. He's just proud that he's got himself a pair of Yeezys in the side. I might post some of our material stuff on Facebook. It's not something that I do as a norm because I try not to do it. But if I do, there's never a lot, yeah, man, I've just had this car for Christmas. It cost me X amount of pounds. Actually, I've got myself a toy car and I'm out playing with it in the park. I've had my drone for 2 years. I've had the plane for 18 months. I'd never flew the plane until Sunday before last. When I posted it, I'll just put, in fact, the memory come up last year to say that I'd had it for 12 months. I'd never even took it out of the box. But the post weren't saying, oh, I've just had this, it cost X amount of pounds. It was just like, as if Tash bought me this, man, for Father's Day. Sick. But there's other people out there that everything's got a value attached to it. Everything's about letting other people know what they've got, what they've done, how they've done it. I'm just like, mate, bore off because it's boring. One day they'll have fuck all, and they won't be posting up then saying, I'm on my ass, bro. I still then they're in the habit of living this bullshit life where they've got to pretend to people that they've got everything that they ain't got.
That is the truth. Well, we better skip on. It's 5 past, and we need to do status of the week. But it's not status; it's a picture. It's a picture, and this is what you've said. But this is none of my business. It's a picture of a smiling Kermit, and it says, "Some girls be claiming he's my world, but that's your fourth world in 2 months. Are you building a solar system?"
No, there's some fucking.
But I will admit, I put up a picture just before I went on the show, and my picture definitely wins this week. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I'm about to look right now.
It's a Instagram or Twitter picture. I think it's a Twitter picture. Tell me when you've seen it.
Of the watch.
My daughter want to be just like her daddy.
You know, I don't know, mate. I fucking.
When I saw that, Abby sent me in. I was like, "Are you taking the fucking piss?" And you know that's an American. You know that's not done over here. You know that's American.
Nah, man. They're up north somewhere there.
Next door. Next.
Yeah. You know what? I put that one up of the fucking chameleons a few weeks ago, saying when you fucking split up with your fucking pregnant partner and you get back together and you got to pretend it's all happy. And it's like, I actually genuinely admire people that have the shitty situation in a relationship and then try and make it work. Because actually, I do think that social media, and I think just the way that the last couple of generations are, they're a very disposable type mentality. And I believe that slips into relationships just as easy to say, you know what, fuck it, I can't be asked with the effort. I'm going to move on. I can't be asked to fucking fix the washing machine. I'm just going to buy a new one. Oh, I broke the fucking plug off the kettle. Fuck fixing the plug. I'm going to buy myself a new kettle. And it's like that whole mentality of dropping your iPhone and buying a new phone and not spending 60 quid on a screen. And I do you see them memes of like of the old couple, and it's like granddad also had an affair, but he didn't have social media, so Nan and granddad worked through it, or whatever the fucking that sort of type of meme is. I look at that and I think, you know what, it's so to sort of air your shit on Facebook about what a prick someone is and what they've done, and blatantly go out there and put it on a plate that this geezer or this woman's a fucking slag, or he's a prick, and he's been knobbing my fucking best pal, and rare. And then 2 weeks later, they're back in love with each other. I'm just like, you could have done all of that without anyone ever knowing there was an issue. And it's not because you're living a bullshit life and pretending everything in the garden's rosy. I don't need to know that your missus has sucked the gaffer's cock at work, or I'm not interested. But actually, knowing that they have, and knowing that you're now back to, like, I see some people going as if they're back together, man, it's all fake. I actually think, you know what, fair play to them. They're actually genuine, whatever, for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, they're trying to work it out and they're trying to sort it out. I just think do that before you air your shit on Facebook, man.
Mm.
And it's like when people split up, and it's like when I've had pals in the past that have split up with their missus, and I don't ever like go, oh yeah, I ain't speaking to the missus again then, because I end up making a cunt of myself. Because 6 weeks later they're back there, and I've been a prick for 6 weeks. I'm a bit like, I'm not falling out with no one. He sent more shit to fucking fall out with no one over. I ain't got an axe to grind me there. You ain't got an axe to grind me. You know what I mean? I'm just not getting involved, but there's a hell of a lot of fake bullshit on Facebook, man. Not on Facebook, on Instagram, and it's all there's some needy people out there.
Yeah, the internet has damaged a lot of people. Let's be
You know
realistic.
what, it really has, and look, even now, it's mad. Look, Chloe's 20 in June, so but she had Facebook from when she was maybe 8 years old because it was so new. But she learned to type on fucking Facebook before they even had computers in her school. Because when Chloe 20 years ago, computers in the classroom weren't the norm. It is now. So I've got fucking 7-year-olds that can type and know their shit, they know their way around the fucking keyboard and do what they're doing. But Shanae's 13 in 2 weeks' time. She ain't got Facebook. She's got Instagram. She's got 22 followers on Instagram of people that are uncles, aunties, dads, mums, sisters, whatever. And it's mad when I think social media fucks people's standard balance of life up because they end up chasing this. There's so many people out there living a fake life, and so many people out there trying to keep up with that fake life, and they're having to be fake to pretend that they're keeping up with the person, and the person they're trying to keep up with is full of shit anyway. They're living a fake life, and it starts this whole vicious circle of bullshit, bollocks, and just absolute shite, and I hate it. And if it weren't for our business, I would switch Facebook off. I said the other week, if I could afford to buy Facebook, the first thing I'd do is switch the cunt off.
Have to go back to texting people and phoning them.
You know what? Pick up the fucking phone or go around, drive around to someone's house, and if they're not there, go, oh, bastard, all right. Tell him I called, man. Ask him to pop into mine. Now, I use social media a hell of a lot. I'm on it most days. And if I'm not, it's because I'm fucking busy, not because I'm not. Because I actually enjoy flicking around and then seeing all this bullshit, and it inspires my fucking statuses or whatever, and I have my little rants through my statuses and all that sort of stuff. But actually, that just tickles my fucking boat, you know what I mean? But genuinely, if I could afford to buy Facebook, I'd buy it and I'd switch the cunt off.
Someone would just make another fucking platform. That's just the way it is.
Well, I'd buy the internet and switch the internet off. Mate,
just the way. If you turned off Facebook tomorrow,
I was out in my car the other day, and Mia said to me something about the sat nav, and I says, she said something about, like it's easy to get anywhere you go now because you've got sat nav, and I was like, yeah, but when I was a kid, we never used to have sat nav. She's like, how do you know where you're going? I said, we used to have a book called an A to Z, and she's like, what's that? And I was like, if I was going to fucking X Road, you'd have to find it. It was like a dictionary in the back, so it was all alphabetical, and you find it, and you'd find it on the page, and you'd have to find where you was, and you'd fucking follow the map. She's like pirates and that, and I was like, right, yeah. But if I think back 20 years ago, sat nav wasn't a thing.
no.
And A to Z's, every cunt had an A to Z in their glove box.
Yeah, the little AA ones.
Because of the job my dad done, he weren't just in Birmingham. So my old man had about 6 A to Z's, which covered the Midlands really. Sometimes, mate, I'd have to get from fucking one book and then to the next book. Fucking mad, crazy.
It's just stuff like that you don't really appreciate. You know what I mean? Like sat nav.
The fast life, man. The emails coming through to your phone when you're fucking off work and you just answer them back. Back in the day, you'd have to wait for me to be in. I'll be back in tomorrow, man. I'll answer you then. I get into work now some days, and my end will say, "Oh, did you see that? Did you see that email?" Yes, and I was like, "No, I ain't checked my phone, mate. I'll check them in a minute when I get into my office. I'll have a look through them and I'll answer you." So I thought you might have had a look and fucking answer me. You thought fucking wrong then, mate. 'Cause I'm on holiday. I mean, to be fair, yesterday I genuinely didn't check my emails. And I got in this morning, there was emails that I could have answered yesterday and probably should have answered yesterday. And had I seen them, I would have answered them. But the reality is, 10 or 15 years ago, you'd have had to wait for me to come back into work.
You've had an auto response saying I'm not in work at these hours. Wait till I get back into work. But
it's mad that that fucking pace of life has become the norm and the expectation, and it's ruining people, man. And I like the fact that our three girls, and now the fourth with Emma, and Emmy will probably be different because even in 9 years things have changed massively. Facebook's only been a thing for fucking 12 years. It's only been available to us since 2007, so 11 years ago since Facebook was available to the masses.
fucking hell,
By
that
the
long.
time Emmy's older, he's just the norm. But actually, when I think of the difference of Chloe as a 20-year-old at 10 and now Mia at 9, it's light years apart because Chloe was like a sort of grown teenager at 9 years old. Maybe I treated her differently because she was my first, I don't know. But I like the fact that Ava and Mia play with dolls and play with dolls' houses. And yes, don't get me wrong, they sit on a tablet and they'll waste a whole day watching short on YouTube. But they'll play together and they'll do stuff together. And it's like even Shanae at 13, she's actually quite old looking. She looks way older than her age, but actually she's still like she'll fuck about with the two younger girls as well, and they'll play a game together. And actually, I love the fact that that's been captured because I see so many young kids. Even like we were out eating the other day, mate, and Tasha gave Emmy the phone at the table, and I was like, seriously, what are you doing? Take the phone off her, let her cry. Because we didn't used to have them. I've never once said to my kid, "Oh, don't cry, man. Have the tablet at the table." I hate it. It drives me mad. And if other families choose to do it, all it does is make me write a status when I get home. But generally, I just think spend some time talking to them, man. Spend some time with them because you're doing that now. She's 15 months old. You're never ever going to get it off her, ever. Because you're just setting that precedence of, yeah, you start crying, you get what you want. You're at a table in a restaurant, you have your iPad. I put status about it before. Some more friends are going, yeah, but if you had my kid, if I had your kid, I'd smack him. He's naughty. But he's naughty because you allow him to be a cunt. Yeah, he's got ADHD. He hasn't. He's got a shit mum. Well, he's got ADHD because he tops up your benefits with a bit of disability, but I'm not even getting into that argument. It's like life as life rules us now, and actually we should be ruling our own life. We should be doing what we want to do when we want to do it, how we want to do it, around the priorities that you have to do. So I'm not suggesting we just decide tomorrow, you know what, fuck you, man, I ain't going to work, I'm ruling my life. You've still got to get to work, you've still got to pay your bills, but then the amount of our lives that are consumed watching other people's lives that is fake, that stresses you out enough to start living a fake life, to me, seems to be becoming the norm on social media. And it itches my teeth, mate.
Because it can be fake though, can't it? You can just fake your whole life. It doesn't. You can be someone totally different online to you are in real life. You can manipulate it.
So one of the things that always sticks out for me is lots of people who I spend any sort of time speaking to saying, "Oh, actually, you just like you are online." You know what I mean? And it's like, I like the fact that, like, I mean, I know there's people out there going, "Oh, yeah, Paul Harris is a fucking prick," but actually, I can be a prick in for real if you want me to. It's easy to be a little bit more obnoxious online, but I'm not living some bullshit life online and pretending to be an arsehole and really I'm lovely, because I am lovely, but sometimes I'm lovely on Facebook and sometimes in real life I'm an arsehole and sometimes I'm an arsehole on Facebook. But I've seen people, mate, who I know in real life chatting fucking far from their status, mate. To the point where I've even put a status up saying, do these people not realise I actually know them for real? I know that your house is a shithole. It smells of dog piss. Don't post about having OCD because you haven't got OCD. I've been for a piss in your house and the tiles need a fucking clean. Right, you ain't got OCD, so don't pretend that you have. You're a fucking tramp.
Before anybody says, "Oh, I haven't got a dog,"
Yeah, but mate, I've been inside people's houses that I know and they're a shithole and they're posting about having OCD. I'm like, you ain't got OCD. You're a lazy cunt, actually. You could do with having OCD for a long weekend and talk in your fucking house. That's what you could do with.
if anybody's looking at the shit behind me, I am moving out. So don't get balls like that, mate.
Settee over there full of cars, remote controls. How it's the longest I've had shit in this room that's in a place that it shouldn't be, without Tasha fucking just discarding it into a mystery part of the house that I don't even know where it exists because my shit just normally disappears. But I know she knows that it's too expensive just to sling somewhere. But actually, it does my head in that it's there on that settee. But I'm just like, I need to find somewhere to put it so I can sort of manage it properly. I've bought cases and stuff to put it in so I can stack the cases up and they won't get damaged. And I can fucking have my batteries together and my chargers together and sort all my shit out. But there's times where our house is a shithole because we've been out all day and we've been busy. And in the morning, 4 kids were getting dressed, and one of them, the baby, was running around eating a slice of toast, and it's left on the fucking floor. We don't live in a perfect house, but nor am I posting pretending to live in a perfect fucking house. So there's these people that post up going, "Oh my god, they just chat shit, mate." These are people that have fucking 2 fried eggs in a slow cooker for 10 hours. And they don't even work. And I'm like, why the fuck have you started cooking eggs at 8 o'clock in the morning? You're gonna have it 5. They take 2.5 minutes to fry. Why are you doing it? Why have you put your porridge in a slow cooker tonight for tomorrow morning? The fuck? Just so you can post a picture on the slow cooker mum's page. What is wrong with people? And these are people going, "Oh, I love this slow cooker. It'll save me some hours." You don't work right. What the fuck hours are you saving? They're the same people that go, "Whoop whoop, it's bank holiday weekend." Every Monday's like a bank holiday weekend to you, cunt.
Payday. You mean payday? Payday status. Oh, it's payday. Payday. Fuck off. You don't work.
Mate, it fucking fucks me mad. I can't wait to break up for Christmas. They're the same cunts that have got. Can't wait for the kids to go back to school. I had them for 2 weeks all year. 2 weeks, man, and you're fucking stressing about having your kids sort your shit out. But then, I know there's people that fucking palm their kids off left, right, and centre, like personal people that I know, and they're posting about being the perfect parent. And I've just done some colouring in with the kid. And I'm like, no, you haven't. You nanas. You don't even know where the kid's bedroom is, you prat. You've never even put the kid to bed in 7 years. You're a liar. And you're only posting that because one of your pals has just commented going, "Oh yeah, look, they're the same people, right, that do the fucking naughty elf every day, so they can post it up going, "Oh look, the elf's just fucking spilt cornflakes on the fucking kitchen floor." No, the elf hasn't. Them cornflakes have been there since Saturday when you dropped them. All you have to do for a whole month is just move the elf around to different shithole parts of the house and pretend the elf's been naughty. And then you get 40 comments of everyone going, "Oh, you're so good with the elf." Mate, we done Naughty Elf for the first time this year, and we done 2 nights. The elf sat in my bedroom for the rest of December, and I had to tell the kids that the elf will only start doing naughty stuff when you're good. So you need to sort your shit out, kids.
You know what I did for Poppy? The elf sat in the Christmas tree the whole Christmas. Just said he's watching you. He's going to tell Santa. That's all I fucking did all Christmas.
But these people that cannot spend an half an hour with their kids will spend an hour setting up a naughty elf just for likes on Facebook. And I'm like, you know what? Fucking throw the elf in the bin and colour a picture of me, you kid.
Fucking true.
But there you go. That's just my observation of life, mate.
Yeah, but everyone's now going to be monitoring what everyone else is doing now because what we said, who's putting up this, who's putting up that. It's the best way. Well, it's 22 minutes past 10. As I said, it was a random show. We've had just absolute shits and giggles tonight. So thank you everybody for joining in, everybody commenting. I did mention before the show, everybody get involved in the comments and everything like that, which is brilliant. So we'll see you next week. And we may have some people on and do another random show. We'll see how it goes. So we'll see you next week. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.